Right, hello everybody.
Fingers crossed.
Welcome back. Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for no more technical difficulties. Back again for some more League of Dracula action. As you heard, we got Pizza Wizard beside me once again. Hello, Pizza Wizard.
Hello.
Great to have you here alongside us, reigning US champion, of course.
Oh yeah. I mean, we have the reigning European champion over here. I mean, if we were gonna start pulling out titles, but you know.
Look at us with all our winners' medals. And yeah, so this is a match from the first stage, Group C this time. I will make a mistake about the groups at some point. I think I've got them all right at the moment. We've got Fangs of Fire playing as Hunters and Edward Scissorhands playing as Dracula. Kazak's also here in the lobby spectating. It's great to see. And yeah, so we've got two players we'll talk a little bit off screen. Fangs of Fire, obviously, player from the American League of the Spring Regionals competition and has been playing quite a bit. Maybe not so much recently, but did play quite a lot of games, so he's gaining experience. And then Edward Scissorhands is not to hype him up too much, but is maybe a dark horse potentially for the whole competition. Is I've not played against Edward Scissorhands yet. I will admit that, but from the people who have, and Pizza Wizard is one of them, I've only heard good things about Edward Scissorhands. You can maybe you can tell us about Edward Scissorhands a little bit. Also, Fangs of Fire, because you played against Fangs of Fire in the American League, obviously. So you can. What are your thoughts on all this?
I think I agree really heavily with what you're saying. I would be very surprised if Edward is not in the top 3 of his competition. I think he's for sure not getting eliminated in the first stage. He has performed very well. The way he messages, and maybe I'm just reading into it too much, but he seems like an analytical thinker, and I think that is the kind of thought process that will lead you to do very well in this game. And just gameplay-wise, playing against him, he's beaten me as Dracula, something that is not easy to do when we're all saying that experienced hunters should have the edge on experienced Dracula players. I think Edward's got a lot of potential. I think Dark Horse is a very apt description of him. I think that he could come in, and if people aren't expecting him to kind of do very well, he could sweep some legs.
Yeah. But also a lot depends, we were talking about it in the previous video, because of the way the competition is structured this year, only the top player in each group is guaranteed into the final league, and then all the others get put into the second stage with the second and third players. So, somebody like Edward Scissorhands maybe could come second in the group, but then just depending on who they get pitted against in the second stage, then, but yeah, I agree. I mean, based upon the hype, you'd expect him to be in the conversation for, definitely getting out of the group, or maybe even potentially challenging Mr. Green, because this is the group with Mr. Green in it. On paper,
Mr. Green,
Mr. Green, Fangs of Fire, Edward Scissorhands, JB Philly, and Reckoner, another new player. Yeah, because on paper, when you look at it, it's like, well, maybe from Mr. Green's perspective, this might be the nicest group to be in because he's the only quote-unquote top-seeded player. But then you've got the likes of Fangs of Fire, who's obviously experienced from the previous competition, Edward Scissorhands, who is, sounds of it, very good player, and then, JB Philly's been around quite a while, another competent player. I don't know so much about Reckoner, maybe, much more of a newcomer, but still, they're going to just grow in confidence as the competition progresses.
Just because we don't know anything about them doesn't mean they're not good, right? There is a potential that he's been playing the game a lot in person, and maybe he hasn't played it much in the Discord community or online, like within the Discord community. He could still have played it online with maybe just people he knew. I would not be surprised if there's some new, quote unquote, new people who maybe have been sold a little bit short just because we know nothing about them.
Yeah.
I would be excited to see some of them succeed.
Absolutely. Well, look at Bugs B from the previous competition.
Yes. Oh, those were tough matches. I remember those.
Oh, yeah, so do I. In some ways, I wish Bugsby was in this competition. I haven't heard from him since the previous League of Dracula. Yeah, that's another
nice guy too. Made scheduling easy.
Yeah.
Despite time zone stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, this is gonna be fascinating. I'm very interested. Edward Scissorhands won his opening game against Reckoner. I was saying to Pizza Wizard off camera, slightly unfortunate the way it all panned out. the classic digital edition interface wolf form plus hide curse has taken yet another victim. So unfortunately, Reckoner fell foul of that one, which is really unfortunate to see because it was turning into like if you watch the video, quite a good game because like he got a vampire to mature. Yeah, the hunters were somewhat on his trail, but if he wolf formed at the point where he did, then there's quite a few possibilities where he could go. We weren't sure about hunter movement. Could he catch him? So there was a good game that was there. But it's just,
Mhm.
Hyde ruined it, unfortunately. It's just one of those things. But no,
Yeah.
Reckoner will learn from that. And, you don't, once you do it once, you don't do it again, kind of thing.
That's
So,
the biggest pitfall, maybe, for these newer people if they haven't played online very much, getting messed up by the interface or by the way that an online game interprets things in a way they didn't expect
mm,
it to. I think that might be the biggest hurdle for some of them if they don't have much experience playing online.
absolutely. And also, then we saw it in the previous game that we've just spectated between Trayman and Bakazic. That also that just natural baptism of fire of playing, against a very competent player. They're not going to give you
Mhm.
any sort of breathing space, and they're going to do nasty things against you
Yeah.
if you give them
Nobody's
a
going to be
chance.
just moving around randomly hoping to find you in the first week. They're going to supply up.
Absolutely. Or then, as a Dracula player, they're going to do everything they can to make your life as a hunter a misery. So, um,
No rumor token on the third space again.
yeah, very interesting. There's 4 guns in the discard pile, but if there's heavenly hosts and horses and stakes and knives about, then that's not.
Really?
Yeah, and a holy
4 guns
bullets.
this early?
Yeah, and 2 holy
Wow.
bullets. Wow,
And 2 holy bullets.
maybe just drew lots. I mean, there's a pistol on Mina as well, by the way. So maybe just drew
Yeah.
so many of them. He's just like, right, I'm just gonna ditch them.
Sure. I suppose he's made it fairly far through. He's like half into the item deck right now. So if he hasn't drawn, okay, there's a garlic wraith. Okay, faith has been restored. He's not just keeping garlic wreaths. Good. I mean, that does not bode well for Dracula if the worst cards in his hands are the guns, right? I mean, that's not, I think, what you want to see as a Dracula is the hunters discarding weapons like guns as the first thing they're discarding because it means that whatever they're keeping is presumably in their head better than that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, then the thing to think about it is that there are 8 guns in total in the game,
That's true.
so you
Hmm.
can hold on to you can ditch half of them. You still got 4 in your hand, and they're aggressive cards for combat. So um, they have their
I have been
pitfalls.
thinking recently. Oh, yes.
No, I was just saying. No, only go.
I've been looking at like I've always thought rifle is just better than pistol because it stops these games bad where the pistol doesn't. But lately, I feel like late in the game that stopping of a plotting is just kind of good on a pistol versus having a rifle, right? Because the Dracula escape in the final combat is not actually. I think it's really scary, but I don't think it happens nearly as much as you would expect. And I feel like sometimes you might want a pistol over a rifle. And maybe this is just like a tinfoil hat theory. I haven't tested it much yet in gameplay, but I've been thinking about it.
Hmm. I guess if you subscribe, someone like me, for example, who plays in general a more conservative hunter game where you aim to get one combat and it's decisive with 2 or 3 hunters, and if it's that will probably happen later into the game. Is Dracula even going to be able to escape his bat if he has to survive 4 rounds of combat? So,
Right.
is the rifle essential? Maybe not. And if you just have as I said, a pistol to stop plotting, that could be decent. Um,
Well, I think and maybe this is also maybe a little bit off base, but I've seen that like when people have their planned ambushes and they play them in the first round, sometimes if Dracula has enough health to survive whatever they think they're going to do, the Dracula will play like plotting to try to incentivize them to just keep a punch or something other than their like weapon
yep,
so that he
yep.
doesn't get his plotting off. If you have a pistol, like,
Mm,
in some other recent game that we won't mention for spoilers, but if you had a pistol, you can then play the pistol to stop the plotting and also, maybe have holy bullets, but who cares? They're not the main point here. I don't want you to just think I'm just saying this because of holy bullets. I think this might actually be a legit thing. Yeah,
yeah, no, I agree.
maybe.
No, I
And
think
it
so.
also stops claws. So yeah.
Yeah, I think especially I think if you look at somebody like, let's say, take Mina Harker, for example. It's now become a bit of a known thing with me, but I'll have a double knife on Mina if I can, because her
Mhm.
weakness is being fanged, so have 2 aggressive anti-fang items is good. Then on the other hand, you've got Van Helsing. Bites aren't so important on him because he can be strong-willed, but because of his low health, he's more susceptible to a claws attack. So maybe having a pistol and a rifle, that's not a bad thing.
Scots-word, I have some breaking news. Godalming discarded 2 Heavenly Hosts. He supplied and then discarded 2 Heavenly Hosts.
Interesting. Okay, I was waiting to see where he was checking. Okay.
And just the holy bullet's gone from Van Helsing. But that's what I was just looking at the discard pile and I saw 2 Heavenly Hosts in a row on John Steward's turn.
Whoa, what is this?
Multiple horses, maybe.
Oh.
You know, like a knife or something weird that he wants to keep over a Heavenly Host. I suppose this early in the game, if he thinks he's going to get through the whole item deck, maybe he discards them now and draws them back up on the second thing. But discarding 2 of them, maybe just Godalming is like has all the good items, right? And he can't keep them all.
Yeah, maybe.
But
I mean,
like
okay.
desecrated soils now are probably going to mature. I mean, there's only 1 left in the item deck.
Oh yeah, desecrated. So if Dracula sees this is just asking. But it also depends on where he started, right? But he can go to sea a bit more easily and lay down desecrated soils before he goes, and yeah, they're not going to get countered. I mean, okay. I have issues with Heavenly Host. There are some Hunter players, you know who you are, who hold on to these like gold dust. There are others who, you know, I'm kind of like on the fence about them. I see that obviously I see their strength. You know, I'm not saying they're bad.
They go through They go through Dracula's strength. They deal 4 damage, which is more than any of the weapons do. They get through Mesmerize, which none of the other weapons do except for Crucifix, but that isn't really a weapon that's conventionally used.
Yep.
You know.
But obviously
there's strengths to them.
They are a one-use item. They don't stop apart from Desperate Sword. They are useless against encounters. So sometimes when I have a situation where I've got lots of, you know, if I have a weapon and a heavily host and then I obtain another heavily host, I might sit there and go, right, I'm going to ditch 1 heavily host. The fact that he's ditched 2 on Godalming, now it's possible that Godalming already has a heavily host.
That's true.
So then you're left in this really awkward situation. That's
why I think you try to give some good items to Mina, hopefully, so that Godalming doesn't get stuck in this position, right? Like, hopefully, if you draw a bunch of good ones, you don't have to discard all of them, but...
Yeah. It does mean if there's a consecrated ground, is weaker, desecrated soil looks more viable. I don't think... Have they traded Godalming and Mina?
I've not been paying the most attention during the night, so I think they might have been. I might have missed it.
Yeah, I often find when I'm commentating, I don't pay attention to things, which is not what you want from a commentator. But
I'll do my best to keep. Okay, now Godalming's discarded a garlic wreath and a knife, so clearly Godalming good hand.
Start.
I don't know what he has in his hand, but he's holding on to it.
So maybe it is just like horses, heavenly host, knife. And he's just like, well, I'm stuck with like.
Ooh, that is a stacked hand.
Oh,
that's a very good hand.
Oh, okay.
There's a fog, 2 reckless,
and a hoax,
and a bats.
And a bat. You know. That's a good hand, by the way.
Yeah, that's a very good hand.
Which maybe is the reason why there's no rumor token here, because maybe he's now obtaining all this good stuff. It was all done stuff at the beginning. It could be a hoax
That's fair. I mean, he has 2/3 of the reckless in his hand. He could have played an aristocratic or something, but you know, maybe he started somewhere where he thought that he'd get newspapers, so there wasn't a point in like rumoring it. But people need to use those rumor tokens. They're resources. There's no point in sitting on them if you're not going to do anything with them, right?
That's true. But then if you have it in your mind, you're going to play 2 in the second week, for example.
That's true. That's a good point. They can still the fact that they can be saved up is interesting. I think I've always liked putting 1 on the first encounter normally, unless I have a very strong reason not to. But I see the point of trying to put a lot of pressure in the second week, maybe to take some pressure off of you, put it towards the encounters. Makes sense.
Yeah. I think it lost a lot. You're playing the opponent as well as the cards, I think. I feel like when I'm playing Dracula, I just make the assumption I'm going to be found in the first week. The thing's not going to mature, so I'm not going to waste a rumor token on it. And I'll save it for later.
Like it's going to be poor, and then if it turns out to be good, you're pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, exactly. But that's just British mentality. We are just we naturally set expectation levels extremely low, and then if something mediocre happens, you're like, oh, that actually went quite well.
I mean, I think that's not a bad mindset to have as Dracula, right? I think if you play Dracula, like everything's gonna go your way, then you're gonna quickly find yourself in a world of hurt, right? I think you need to play it like you're gonna get found. You can't just do a move and be like, oh, no one's gonna find me here, because if someone finds you there, and then that move means you're dead if you're found, it's a very risky move to make. Maybe do something in between, something that's not the obvious move, but something that's also not gonna get you killed instantly if you're found. But
I'm just noticing there's
I
a
think it's
stake
quite a
in
good mentality to have.
there's a stake in the discard pile as well. That was Seward discarded the stake,
Okay, so we're discarding the stick.
so it's possible he has another one
Communicate.
already. Yeah. Okay, no newspaper. What is happening to newspapers today?
I mean, there's 3 of them in the deck, right? So
But I'm not sure. Like
75 cards.
the first 2 games I spectated of this tournament, newspaper got drawn the fourth day, like on point, and now newspaper just doesn't want to be found.
I mean, this might be okay. He doesn't have like a 7-point vampire presumably on the first space.
Yep.
If there was a time to not draw newspaper, it might be now, because he might just have like bodyguard, spy, like stuff that's bad, but not going to be like I'm halfway to winning the game now bad.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Obviously, as a Dracula here, you'd have hoped that you had put down things like a hoax and a bodyguards rather than a vampire.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah, I feel like
4 points is great, but it's not.
yeah,
It's not 7.
4 points. We're moving all of the encounters as well, like the other ones that might also mature if they're not found. It's a decent amount to give up.
Yeah, there's an argument maybe just to layer it then, and let other things behind it mature.
Yeah. Depending on what's behind, if it's like a hoax behind it, mate, for sure. I think I'd probably layer like a 3 or 4 point vampire to get a hoax off, probably. Yeah, I think playing vampires in the first week, if you're like kind of in an obscure area where you're unlikely to be found and you're not putting a rumor token on them, or I mean like fighter vampires, I feel like that's not something I normally do, because I think hunters are more likely to have stakes at the beginning of the game because they will sometimes keep them at the beginning. It's you want to make them use them on like the aristocratics and the hoaxes of the world.
Yeah.
And then play the fighter vampires later down the line, hopefully when they have less stakes, or if they've held on to a stake all this time, they've been one item down the whole game, waiting for a fighter vampire that's never come.
Exactly. And then that's when there's a valid strategy where, right, I'm going to put down 2 fighter vampires in a row and I'll rumor token them both. Now what are you going to do about it?
Because if they start discarding them because they're like, oh, there's no vampires, we're just going to get rid of our stakes and pick up like weapons, then you're like, okay, well, here you go. Here's the vampires. Evil presence. Nothing.
No, and local
And that was
rumors
on the 6th day.
Yeah. Hey, check the discard pile.
Oh, what's happening? Okay, so all of the heavenly hosts are gone.
And 2
There's
stakes.
a second stake as well.
Wow.
So what is he holding on to? We have most of the cards in the discard pile. There's only 3 left in the deck. So he's holding on to 2 stakes. There's also a crucifix that he could have. No holy bullets.
It looks like
no dogs.
There's no garlic in the discard pile.
No garlic. It's like garlic, rifles, and that 1 pistol on Mina.
Yeah, and then
well, actually, there could be 2 pistols,
2 knives,
and two knives as well. Yeah.
Wow.
And horses, of course.
Yeah,
horses, of course. He
yeah, absolutely. So yeah, no. The only thing I'm potentially thinking, well, I mean, maybe Fangs of Fire doesn't rate Heavenly Hosts, and that's that's okay.
I think he's had some poor experiences with them. Like I remember specifically our game in the spring, he had like Godalming with double Heavenly Host on him, and like I pushed him into double Vampire and me, and he just I killed him, I think, in that combat because he had Heavenly Host, but he didn't use them early, and then by the time he did use them, I was just killing Godalming because they didn't prevent like fangs or claws or whatever I was doing to just kill him. So
yeah.
maybe he's been maybe he's kind of gone the other way to now we don't really want Heavenly Hosts unless we have CG. Maybe he doesn't have CG and he's thinking, I don't need Heavenly Hosts unless I draw the CG. Because without Heavenly Hosts, CG is still a good card, but it's nowhere near the fear of all Draculas where they're like, I'm going to get pushed back to C and take 7 damage and lose my entire trail.
Or just get nuked, right, from 15 health.
Yeah, or get nuked in like Florence or Manchester, yeah.
Yeah, not that. Oh, that's nice, though.
Well, we've seen that he's kept all 3 horses. So if this could potentially really mess up the ticket economy if he hits the right person with it. The question is, has he been paying attention to who's been passing on their night actions and not ticketing anymore to see who has tickets they don't want to get rid of? John-sword.
But also the fact that
I don't know.
the fact Fangs of Fire has been discarding heavily host means he's more likely to have weapons.
It's true.
Which is a nice, easy, oh, I'll just discard it. But is Trail's not revealed, by the way?
Mm-hmm. Spy doesn't reveal it.
No.
I don't know about choosing John-sword. I mean, obviously, I have not been paying close attention to see who's been like not ticketing and just passing their turn. But I feel like John-sword is the person who's most likely to discard a weapon and kind of be okay with it because he has the most cards. I'd probably like pick someone other than him, unless of course he is the one with all the tickets. And I've seen that he has not been doing anything, so maybe he has double white one or something. So he has to discard a weapon, and then I'd probably, difficult to say. I haven't been paying close enough attention.
No, me neither. Me neither. There's some interesting stuff going on. So Gadami's moved over to Munich. They're going to scan Germany. Van Helsing's automatically come off the UK. I mean, it makes sense because Dracula can't be there. As if I use excellent weather to do it, so that's not available. There's a thing we have to realize here. Like, even though, yeah, sure, the Huns have been very unlucky with newspaper, but they've been supplying, and there's been a couple. Well, they've had Behind the Veil, Evil Presence, Hide Scouts, but they've got a lot of events in hand, and that could be very scary.
It's hard to turn a big ship, but once they find him, I think they're going to hit him with. They're going to have a lot of power. That's the whole point of the supplying week 1 strat, right? Is that it's hard to find him. Sure, I think moving is kind of inefficient to find him anyway. But when you do find him, you can hit him with a sledgehammer, essentially.
Yeah, that's an interesting. I've never heard anyone explain it that way before, but that's kind of cool. Yeah.
Well, I'm stealing it from a novel. Yeah, it's like it was used as like a metaphor to describe a person who was like the person wasn't quick to make up their mind about something, but once they did, it was like they were hard to stop. Once they, like turning a big ship, but yeah.
And you and I know, like we've played this game more than enough to know that it doesn't matter how well it can be going for Dracula. All it takes is 1 renewed vigor, no fog, or maybe there's a forewarned in play, and you get 4 hunters onto Dracula, and Dracula could just die, regardless of what's happened the preceding 3 weeks.
Hunters can lose, and then all they need is 1 win, and then they win, right? Dracula has to win every fight, every time.
Yeah.
Did you see what the scan was? I missed it. Was he in Germany?
It was negative. I mean, Fangs of Fire saying this is rough. It is rough. This is a really rough beginning, but then you have to look at the positives. Like you say, the big ship eventually will turn around. He's gonna have he's got at least 2 prompts at the beginning of the game, so I reckon one of them has to be renewed vigor. He's gonna have powerful stuff in hand.
I feel like if I were him, I don't even know if I would have moved to Germania. I think I would have kept supplying in fear of a hoax, try to get all the events I can before the boot falls.
Yeah.
If there was a hoax somewhere around here, or just because I think moving and scanning Germania, if he's in Germania, that's amazing. It's so good. If he's not in Germania, you've used 2-day actions to essentially, because he could have been in Germania, right? He could have started Amsterdam, for example, and then gone into France, and we still wouldn't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel I'd rather supply to try to get the newspaper or to get other good events now, because every supply you have, you're more likely to draw it.
I'm the same. I always just supply my way out of every problem I have, unless there's it's obvious I need to move. But there's also the fact he's getting away with it a little bit because it's only a spy, which whoa.
Marseille or Florence?
Genoa or
Genoa or Florence,
or Milan. Oh wow, that was a catch.
No. It can't be Milan because then it would have been adjacent to Mina, right? So it has to be one of the 2 southern ones.
Absolutely right. Wow, that was a catch. That was very. I mean, but then that's funny now. We were saying, oh no, he should be supplying, and then he moves Gadalme and he actually finds him.
Maybe there is an argument to spreading people out so proximity things are more effective. That's a decent argument to make, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so Van Helsing has horses. Okay, I now kind of understand why Exon weathered over.
Yeah, you normally are in the camp of we're going to save our excellent weathers to get rid of Cagliari or to get into Ireland or to get good movement out of them rather than using them to save Van Helsing day action, right? I think that's normally what you've said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if he's got horses, and also then the way this is just now panned out, he must have started somewhere in northern, like maybe it could have been an Amsterdam start, and he's wanted to
It
make
could have
take
been
advantage. But he's getting away with it a little bit because what the second encounter got layered. That would be very dangerous if he returns to it because he doesn't actually know where he started at all.
Right. Like, this isn't great. There are a lot of encounters maturing for Dracula, but none of them have rumor tokens on them, right?
Nope.
So far, none of them have been what I think are, like, none of them have been a hoax, which is what I would have been really afraid of had I not seen rumor token. I would have been afraid the first two would have been, one of them would have been a hoax. So far it's okay, right? Depending on what these next two encounters are, if it's more like spies and bodyguards, it's not going to be great, but I think you could probably push through it. But if like a hoax is today or a hoax is tomorrow, that could be a big setback. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
But he's now found him, or where he is now at least.
Yeah. I don't think he's. It doesn't look like he started in Italy because I think the trail's too long. Maybe he's heading down into the boot. But if he started in Central Europe, then the hunters are going to have enough movement with horses and train tickets to be able to probably mop up quite a lot of these encounters, as long as he doesn't get distracted by Dracula too much. But then there's a risk now if Dracula does get into Bari, for example, then gets into the east, and the hunters are still dealing with all of this, basically 2 weeks worth of encounters by the time they'll get laid. Then that's not nice. But
I mean, Dracula still has his wolf form, right? Theoretically, he could just wolf from Bari today if he's in Florence. Maybe he's not in Florence. Maybe he's in Genoa because he took a little bit more of a meandering, circuitous route. But
yep, and he might move to
hard to
Marseille
say.
now and then wolf form somewhere, for example. We have no idea where he is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I agree with you. They definitely didn't start in Italy because I think the trail is way too long, and there's not like, especially with Venice being covered by Godalming, there's no way he's been like going out of Italy and then going back in. Probably not. Maybe he did, but it seems unlikely. So I agree. I think probably started somewhere in like France or Germania and then moved down into Italy. Was maybe planning to go into Italy, and then escape via Bari, as you suggested. Seems like a fine plan, especially if it hasn't been discovered. And then if these things do get discovered, people converge towards like Northern Europe, and then he can kind of sneak away to the south while everyone's going north.
Yep.
I think that's a good Dracula strategy, is try to like place your encounters and then leave and get away. So they have to choose between chasing you or chasing the encounter, right?
Yeah. And then what he can do is, like, the fact he's got 2 rumor tokens saved up, he can then start putting them in really awkward extremity locations, like, nice bodyguards, mature.
Nice bodyguard.
A Bari, for example, or a Valona or an Athens, and it could take ages for that to be dealt with, and then he escapes again. So, yeah. Spy mature wasn't too impactful, but, he wasn't to know what was going to happen, right?
Right.
Bodyguards mature is nice. Something else has been layered, so you can go back to that, because we still don't know where he started, so he could go back to that layer eventually, and Fangs of Fire probably won't be able to work out where he is. Interesting use of Speedy Telegraph, but, this could...
If he does end up going into like the eastern half of the board, and he did start somewhere in northern Europe, it might be hard for him to get back there like expediently. But like at the end of the game, if he's like seeing to like Spain and then he goes to sea again and like goes like where, I could be going into England, I could be going into Germania, that could be good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was in Genoa and then he went to Florence. Okay.
Wow. And obviously now you're thinking, this is bad because of CG. No, because the 3 heavenly hosts are in the pile. The deck is just reset, by the way.
Yeah. This is where I died. This is where I got insta-killed. It was like beginning in the middle of the second week, and I just got murdered in Florence because he like I think found it with like a surprising return. He used it and then I was there and they killed me there. But obviously not gonna happen here, right?
Mina.
Ooh. Oh, on Mina. Like the speed telegraph. Confusing me. Okay. But Mina is also here. There is no defensive encounter. Because it was bad, so it doesn't immediately affect either of them.
And that means
this could be bad.
This could be bad in the fact then she hasn't got horses, but she guarantees to get into the fight. Ooh, but she hasn't got planned damage. She's only got chartered carriage. Could she have chartered carriage?
The worry here,
1, 2, 3,
I think, is that Dracula can like somehow either kill Mina because of the mesmerized fang. If that could happen, that'd be bad. Or he can escape because they don't have enough. It's only second week. If he plays like 2 and then escapes on third round with like bats, that's theoretically possible.
Yep.
Like those are the danger scenarios here, right?
And you could escape as a bat to Munich and then wolf form.
Okay. Bodyguards has been used.
You want it against... Oh, wow. I don't know. Because suppose Mina's already got a pistol. Do you do it on Godalming to try and reveal a weapon, or you just guarantee more damage onto Mina? Okay, do you need to guarantee
Okay, it's going
damage
for
on Mina?
Mina. Yeah. I mean, Mina was already at 7. Now she's at 5, right? I mean, that is very close to like claw range.
Mm-hmm. And also the other thing we have to think about. Okay, that's
Ooh,
good.
that's very good. Yeah.
And it's also the fact that Gadami's going to get punted away. He could get pushed into something damaging or a night fight with a vampire. But if he's at really
You're
high
right.
health, then that doesn't really matter. Well, it shouldn't matter. Gadami might be able to get
Well,
out
the
of
thing
that.
is, Godalming's not gonna be able to like chase after him tomorrow is the big thing, right? Like he will have no
Yes.
follow up. This is his fight. If he does not like whatever he does in this fight, Dracula's gonna have 2 moves before Godalming can get back on him. So, and if I think focusing on Mina is the right call, especially with Lucy's revenge, he can't escape is a little bit less likely. I think like just getting rid of Mina here and then Godalming will be delayed for a while. You can maybe go all the way to Bari with a wolf form or something now.
Yep.
Like
So maybe if he doesn't escape, maybe it doesn't matter.
yeah, if he can kill or cripple Mina, which I think he's already kind of done. She's at 5.
But she has got 3 combat items, including the pistols.
Oh,
That
she
makes
does?
that makes claws difficult. That's why he sends an emergency because there's no fast horses. So
Mm,
can't claw against the pistol. He doesn't know what else he's got.
okay.
Oh,
Rifle.
okay. So Gadami's got something else, but it's not the
Mhm.
rifle. But now Mina could. Well, it's not heavenly hose. We know that. But it could be a knife.
Oh,
Ooh.
that's rough. I don't.
Yeah, that's good for Dracula. Yeah.
Yeah, I think in these fights you kind of want to. You're willing to trade damage a little bit. I think that if Dracula had attacked Mina there, that turns out great, right? But if he doesn't, if he
Yeah.
plays like a mesmerize against me, I suppose if maybe he played mesmerize against Mina, you're like, that's fine. You dodged mesmerize. Who cares? I guess she's mesmerized now. But you want to be dealing damage. The longer this fight goes on, right, he's going to be able to escape. And Lucy's revenge helps, but if it gets to the point where he can do it twice, which it might, that's not the most unlikely possibility. He could escape through Lucy's revenge.
Yeah, and because
Um,
all the other thing to possibly, I mean, Gadami might have an anti-fang item because there's a lot of garlic unaccounted for, but if Gadami gets bitten, then yeah, you can stop Lucy's revenge from the bite, but Gadami's still removed from the combat, and then he's stuck
mm,
1v1 against Mina.
yeah, this is not great. Like, especially if Godalming's other item is garlic here, it's not what you want to see, right? You want to deal damage to Dracula. This is your chance to like get some early damage on him, make sea travel maybe a little bit more perilous, make up for all those desecrated soils that are going to mature because you have no heavenly hosts.
Yeah,
You need to make this combat count. You don't just want this to be we're going to sit here and stare at each other and then he's going to escape,
well
right?
that's
That is the Dracula dream.
actually a very good point. I know we talked about it earlier, but the fact you've mentioned it again, like if their desecrated souls are about to mature, Dracula can just freely give up damage here. Okay.
And there goes that pistol.
Yeah, it's the revealed item, but it doesn't matter. That's still 2 damage onto Mina.
She does have 2 more combat items, which is something I didn't notice, but that is a very like she is going to be. He will have a combat item to play every turn, right? She will not be like just stuck to. Oh my! This is so bad.
Yeah,
This
that's
is so bad.
unfortunate. Yeah.
See, this is the downside of Dracula's reading really well, right? What's going on here? And there is the argument that if he had strength to Godalming, then the dodge is great.
Yep.
But I feel like you just have to play weapons into it, right? Maybe that's too
But maybe
cavalier of me, sitting here not actually playing the game. But
the problem is like Gadami only has one other combat item, so maybe just
if it's
punches
garlic
it.
or something,
But then
yeah.
I get it. He was scared of the Fang attack, and then Godalming. Okay, he can stop losing revenge to get the bite, but he's still removed from the combat. It just prevents the bite. So
I feel like Dracula's not going to go for the bite though. It's too obvious, right? He has an unrevealed combat item. It could be a knife, right? He discarded a knife earlier.
But I don't think you would dodge if you've got a knife or a garlic. I think you'd
Well,
play.
right now probably doesn't have a knife, but.
I think
From
you
the
just
Dracula point of view before that turn is what I'm saying. I don't think you just try to fang Godalming on the assumption that's going to work.
yeah, but I think now, unless it's all like a huge bait, maybe Gadami doesn't have an anti-fang item. There's so many garlics available.
Yeah, what does he have? It can't be how many. There isn't that many guns left, right? I mean, I think there's another. John Seward discarded a rifle. There was like a couple, two rifles and 2 pistols in the discard pile at the beginning of the game.
So I think
Mina
that's
just discarded.
So is that 6 accounted for now that Mina's had a discard one?
I think so. I think
And then Gadami's got one.
7, if you count the one in Godalming's, yeah.
Oh, he did have a knife.
Wow.
Wow. Well, I mean,
He
fair enough. He just baited him into that. I know he's mesmerized,
That's
but
nice, but we've wasted a turn of combat doing that, right? And Mina, you have 3 combat items, Mina.
but here's the thing. Maybe it's a holy circle. Maybe it's a
That's true. Maybe it is a
holy
holy
circle garlic.
Maybe. That's true. She could have very defensive items, which is maybe why he was willing to kind of throw her in there as a bait. Maybe try to get Dracula to focus on her, and then she has all these defensive combat items. But
still, the fact that he played the dodge and Dracula took the risk, tried to fang because, I mean, I said it. He probably doesn't have an anti-fang, and he did have an anti-fang item. So I mean, that's
I think
that's well played from.
I might have tried to fang there, right? I think reading into like he dodged, so he doesn't have another way to block fangs, and he can't dodge next round, and he has a rifle which doesn't block fangs. I think I probably would have gone for fangs there too. It looks really good on paper. So that was well played by Fangs Fire, baiting him into that. I wish it could have been capitalized upon with like a Mina weapon, right? Because he's at 13. If either of them had like played punches at the turn that they played dodge when they weren't getting hit, that's another 2 damage. I mean, if they had weapons they could play, it's another maybe 3 or 4. It's just Dracula's taking some damage here, but nothing he can't recover from super easily.
Exactly. Feed would solve it. Discred Soul Mature would solve it.
Question is, did Dracula try to escape with the Lucy's Revenge in play, right?
Good question.
Because if they keep dodging, maybe he can just escape twice, right? And he'll be kind of okay. He'll take like maybe another 4 damage before he leaves. But if they keep attacking him while he's like getting his escape canceled, that would be really bad for him. Okay, let's see.
So he's playing escape against Mina. That it's
okay. It gets canceled. It got canceled, and then
it got cancelled. Right.
Yeah, Mina's running away. Okay.
Oh, she's okay. Well, that. Well, yeah, it could have gone better from a hunter's perspective, but it stopped the escape as bad. So.
That's true.
And
this was kind of a draw, kind of. I mean, Dracula did take 2 damage. Mina took 4 damage, but used the bodyguards, which I think are gone now, right? After they get used.
Yep. There's a sense of emergency, 2 damage. Bodyguards. Is she on 3 now? Yes, I think. Yeah, broke.
She got fangs strength as well, so she lost a pistol.
Yep. Yeah. And she can't go can't go to Genoa to supply because there's an encounter there. If Dracula moves to Rome, then she can't move there either. So she's kind of stuck now in this really awkward situation where she can't. I'm gonna get rid of that. She can't. There's no safe place to supply, and that's not very nice. And then the next thing's going to mature. Then the next thing's going to mature probably.
Right, and if any of those are like things that are, I guess the ones that are near here will mature last. But if any of those are like another bodyguards, for example, or that hoax that I've been saying might happen for some time.
Yeah.
You know, that hoax matures now and Dracula gets like a good counter card. The one saving grace here is I don't think Dracula is going to try to kill Mina. I think it's too risky, right? There's Scots-word and Hellsinger right there. If those are renewed vigor, one, if not both of them, could get there this turn, probably. So Mina's probably not dying, right?
No. What?
It would be risky, right? Because if there's a renewed vigor, either of them can take it to Marseille, and then if they have a horse or if they have an event that moves them, or like if either of them have a third carriage that gets them there.
No, I think as Dracula, you play just play the safe move, just go to Rome, keep doing what you're wanting to do, or go to Munich. You can wolf form to Munich, but maybe just hold the wolf form and just go to Rome.
Wolf form Munich is a bit telegraphed, right? I guess you could also wolf form to Marseille theoretically. Okay. I kind of like that as hunters, actually.
Yeah, I do too.
I kind of like that.
Oh, and that's revealing.
Oh, Nuremberg.
So the layer is 2 away from Nuremberg. Oh, wow. It's still quite a lot of locations, though. Maybe Leipzig. Oh, no. Leipzig, Berlin,
layer is, yeah.
Cologne. Oh, you still don't really know where it is, but somewhere in northern Europe, northern Germany, anyway.
It's going to be something the hunters should think about before they make their moves a little bit. Maybe I think it's not something to obsess over, but just like keep that in mind that there could be like a bats or some other annoying thing hitting you if you're moving around a lot in northern Europe.
But I agree with you. I think as a hunter player, it's not great to go up 4 points, but that's then 3 other encounters you don't have to deal with anymore. You know where the thing before Florence is. You know what the thing after Florence is. So now the game is kind of reset in your favor, and that combat didn't go that badly for the hunters. It could have gone way worse.
It could have certainly gone way worse. It could have been better. It could have been worse. I think that the fact that no one died, Dracula didn't escape,
Yeah.
These are both huge for the hunters, and then as well as they have 3 less encounters to worry about now. They could theoretically just like John Stewart could move to Marseille, Van Helsing could move to Marseille, and they could just like everybody can converge on Italy and start supplying more if they want to, because you don't have to put many people into Italy. Maybe you start moving some people like towards Bologna if you're worried about them going far east. Like the hunters have just been given so much time now, right? I mean, somebody has to deal with Genoa, obviously, but they have plenty of time to do it. Okay, started carriage.
Well, yeah. Maybe going a bit
That
too
I don't
quick.
know about that one. Yeah.
Well, I somewhat like it because it can deal the vampire even quicker. I agree, save the Charlie,
True.
but I think Stewart has fast horses, so later into the game, movement's not going to be so much of an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And that's fair. And I suppose if we're thinking that they're going to keep supplying, maybe there's no point of holding on to these events if they're just going to keep supplying and discard some good events, because you don't want to sit there with like your 3 good events and draw a fourth good one, right? Like,
that's a very good point. Yeah, 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 yeah. And also the fact that then it means Stewart's even closer to Mina, so now Mina can, safely go and heal, double.
mhm.
And it also threatens Dracula a bit more too now, because suddenly Stewart is
Oh,
right
you're
there.
right.
Oh, and he's got.
Oh,
Oh, that's
this is so good for the hunters. This
yeah.
is so nice.
That buys him an extra day. Um,
Yeah, that's really
um,
good.
and I said same thing again, right? There's no point Van Helsing holding onto that for the whole game and then not, having to discard it. Just use it now. You absorb the delay, and then you can. Now this is
Yeah, he
potentially
doesn't
risky.
hold onto his stake as well. Yeah.
Yeah, this move
Yeah.
is fine because the fact that Dracula did an ambush is probably an aristocratic or it's a bait onto something
It could
else.
be a new vampire that he just didn't want to. Oh, there you go.
But he's got a
Okay,
stake.
it's probably aristocratic.
Oh, it's a fog.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hmm. That's not so bad. I mean, it means Dracula's probably going to get away out of Italy. He's less threatened there now, but
Mm-hmm.
he's essentially incentivized with his third supply, which I think is generally a good thing for them to be doing. So,
Well, the fact that Mina's
you
down an
know.
item, that's good. So that's kind of like that weird thing, right, with fog, where it buys Dracula time, so he's not going to get jumped on now in Naples or Bari. So he can go where he wants. He can escape from Italy, but then you're giving the Huns even more time to supply,
Mhm.
which is maybe the thing that you don't
Well,
want to be
clearly they
doing.
were.
Hmm.
I think it's kind of done more for him than a vampire would have, though, right? Because clearly they had the stake, so the
Yeah.
vampire would have just been gone. This is at least going to get him time to like maybe be in Italy for a few more turns. Like he could go like Rome, Naples, Bari, and like maybe Godalming gets on him, but I think he's kind of okay with 1v1 in Godalming.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not a huge problem, especially this early in the game when escapes are possible. Though escaping right now isn't amazing because there isn't a lot of places to go. But
Oh, now Agatha's going to
ooh,
play. I mean, he doesn't have to search. He knows exactly where he is. So just probably ally, unless there's a
mhm,
surprising return, and then he might do it. Okay, no, he's going to ally. That's
mhm.
perfectly acceptable. But he knows what Godalming's
Okay.
got, so that Dracula doesn't fear Godalming too much. Um, Now heavily hose come back into play because the deck's reset.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think this has turned out pretty well for them. They didn't find him in newspaper reports, but they supplied enough. They eventually found him. They appear to be fairly well equipped. They have their horses under them. They have their ticket economy checked out. They took like a spy, a bodyguard, and a 4-point vampire. But that's, I mean, those aren't great, but that's small potatoes to what could have been like a host with like 10 Dracula events or like 8 Dracula events in this card or something, right? Or I guess there's only like 10 there now, but like, a hoax with like 5 or 6 Dracula events in this card pile that could have found him a good event, encounter, or
Mm.
event, and then put the rest of them back in there. I mean, this is quite good. I think this is a good situation for the hunters to be in. I mean, it's not amazing, but the hunters don't need to be amazing. They just need to be good enough to kill him, right?
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's what we were talking about before, like, because hunters win. Yeah, they can just one shot Dracula, but they often win like incrementally throughout the game. So as you said, like the fight wasn't a disaster. It could have gone better for them, but nothing bad happened. Um,
Right.
Dracula did not accelerate his victory in any way from that combat in Florence. So
Mhm.
if he'd somehow killed Mina, or
Then it's very bad.
yes, yeah. But the fact is, only 2 points with the vampire lair. Yes, it's game. They're playing at quite a quick pace. This is Friday, week 2 already. We're only like about 40, 45 minutes in, more or less. Um,
Yeah.
and
I was
clear.
a little worried the game was going to go like 3 hours because this being a league game, they would like take their time and make sure they're doing the right thing and no misclicks would happen. But they're playing at a good clip. Yeah. So I guess there's been very many fights, so it also means it's going to be a little bit faster because
Yeah,
fights take a long time.
that's true. Combat definitely does slow down the game, but but you get some games which have no combat at all and only until the very end.
Mhm.
Right. So now he's using both rheumatomes, but then the problem is, Seward has a stake, so
I don't like that second. Like the first one was maybe okay because everybody knew that it was Genoa, but if you make them, if it's like an aristocrat and use a stake on it, that's pretty good. And then maybe you play a better vampire later. Now the deck, it will take them a while to get that stake back essentially because the deck's just reshuffled.
yep.
Doing it again on where we know for sure it's Rome. We know John Stewart has a stake. He's right there. He has the horses probably.
Yeah.
He
And the
can
fog
just get there next turn,
yeah, the fog can't trap him
right?
forever. The option would be if you do something like you put a vampire and then you put a rumor behind it, then yeah, because then it causes the hunters to think, do I let the first one mature? Can I kill both? I've only got one stake.
Mhm.
Um,
Very valid.
but
It's a good point. If it's actually like a bat to rumor or something bad, but then there's a vampire in front of it. They're like, oh, we found this vampire. We don't care about it. We're gonna find the real important vampire, and then you mature and you're like, oh, that was the vampire I cared about all along, actually, right?
hmm
Um,
There's a stake in the discard pile.
Another stake in the discard pile. Oh, no, that's the one he used on vampire lair. Yeah.
Yeah, well that's true. Yeah, but the fact the deck is reset, then I think a
It's
lot
not
of the
coming back for a while.
exactly
Yeah.
yeah, that's important. But then I think a lot of the stakes have been held to anyway. All right, okay,
hmm
you can use Jonathan Harker to search now, and you know where he is. He's in Bari. Either that or he's gone Bari and he's backtracked to Naples. But no, he's gone to Bari. So that's kind of
I
we
kind
know
of
what.
like the Naples pick. I kind of like that, but
Yeah,
I guess maybe you pick Bari so we can't hide there.
he's got wax cylinders, so
Right. I suppose maybe just so we can't like essentially put an encounter there is what I'm saying. Like if
right.
you know, but that's not a big thing. It's fine.
But
Naples does the pretty much same thing.
I guess there is a risk, even if, because if you hide, then you're telegraphing that you're in Bari and hiding. But then we don't know what the hunters have got. All it takes is a renewed vigor and then a forewarned. And if he's put
That's
fog
true.
down, and you could potentially. I mean, I know they're gonna have to go through Rome to get there. Well, actually, no, they can move to
Godalming could
Florence.
have an excellent weather as well. Like Godalming could just be poised
Yep.
to get
Yep.
there.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, I think it's unlikely since he didn't move there of his own volition. Dracula moved him there, but I mean, he did kind of move to Venice originally when maybe he could have gone to Milan instead, which I was a little bit confused about. I guess he was trying to get deeper into Italy faster, but
But then, by the looks of it,
possible.
you would have found him in Milan anyway. I think, by the looks of it, given his trail, unless he went to Marseille and then
Uh,
went to Genoa that way. But
the evil presence would have still hit him, but wouldn't have.
yeah,
He wouldn't have found the trail there, probably. No.
it just depends on how Dracula got to Genoa. I don't know if he went Zurich, Marseille, and then Genoa, or if he went via Milan.
We didn't
But
check Marseille, so the world will never know.
yeah, well, we'll never know unless Edward tells us afterwards. So yeah,
Yeah, that's true. We can ask Edward.
this is gonna be very interesting. Is Dracula gonna play risky and overstay here, or I wouldn't? It's just too risky that things are gonna go horribly wrong. You've already used a fog, so what's the chance you're gonna have the second one? And you could end up getting jumped on by potentially, if all the cards fall into place, all four hunters.
Yeah, I think that this is, and the upsides of staying, he's not, if he fed or something, he wouldn't even get all 3 HP. If he hid, what's he hiding to protect that? Like, all of the hunters are right there, right? There's not time. You just need to get, like, this is the situation where Dracula needs to leave. He needs to move IP a couple times, obfuscate his location, get some distance. If he stays there, it's really bad. And he's clearly doing that. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole point of C movement is that it's Dracula's get out of jail free card. His ability to move quickly across the board in such a way that it's not immediately obvious where he's going and he can't be hit while he's moving that way.
As Dracula here, oh look at that, he had
He
excellent
did have
weather.
excellent weather.
I wonder if he's going to use it aggressively and go to Valona.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Although then it kind of puts him way out of position. Okay, no, he's doing it.
But it makes the East then it not doesn't deter it completely, but it makes the East a lot less safe now. Because here's the problem with this: because if you leave from Bari, you're only going Adriatic. You can then try to obfuscate your location, but you're going to have to move 3 sea spaces to do that, and then the chances are you're going to be in Tyrrhenia, and you're never going to go to Black Sea.
Mhm.
So that's an issue. Whereas if he'd done it the other way, gone Rome, Bari, Naples, then you can go to Tyrrhenian, and then you don't know, have you gone Tyrrhenian to Mediterranean or Tyrrhenian to Ionian?
And if you think about it, Naples isn't actually, or Bari isn't further from the hunters than Naples is. They're both at the same amount of road connections away. I guess Bari's further by rail, but
Yeah,
Bari looks like it's farther away, but it's actually
not. Yeah,
not. So ending in Naples isn't a bad idea.
no. And I think if you're gonna, if you're doing it for obfuscation, then Naples is much better. Um, if Dracula had
I think that makes sense.
if Dracula has a plan to get as far away from the hunters as possible, then yeah, maybe Bari, Adriatic, and then Wolfram into the east is better. But now that Godalming has aggressively blocked not Vienna, Valona, Dracula could still go into the east because doesn't have Lucy's Revenge. But you're fighting at 11 health. Godalming, it could
he
go.
Could do it. It's worse though because Godalming's all over him.
Yep. But now because he's left Venice open, he could Wolfram to Munich, but Van Helsing's
Everybody's
close
over
by.
there.
Yeah,
right?
Van Helsing's close by. So that's a risky move now. So I actually really like that by Fangs of Fire, that he's played aggressively, used the excellent weather to get, to basically say, all right, are you actually going to move form to the east now? I'm going to try and prevent that.
Does Godalming have a horse?
I think he does.
Do we know?
I think he does.
Okay, if he has a horse, yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying, and I think that maybe I was a little bit too quick to say, "Ooh, garlic,
nice garlic." Yeah.
I got 2 reckless vampires killed by garlic in a game. It was bad. Like Amina was like dual wielding garlic, and I just did not expect it, and it just murdered reckless.
Was that the one against Pirate Joe? Yeah, it was just garlics everywhere.
Yes, I believe it was. Yeah, garlic everywhere.
So that's interesting. So Seward has horse, steak, garlic, and something else that we don't know.
I suppose it's not a bad hand to fight vampires with, right? You have the garlic to kind of get out of the combat relatively unscathed, and then you have the steak to kill them.
Absolutely. Oh, another fangs. Oh.
Knife?
No,
okay.
dodge.
Oh, no, dodge is good.
Yeah, and now
stops the point. Yeah,
and that's both fangs gone, so there's no more points coming out. So it's just damage he can do to Seward now.
And John Seward doesn't particularly care about damage. I don't think he eats damage for breakfast.
Exactly. So I think this is very interesting. This is very fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me. I think that the Godalming to Bologna move's a lot better than I thought it was. Because I think even if he's out of position because, like, Dracula goes into Munich, everybody else is over there. And that's kind of he's moving back towards the hunters, which is, I think, kind of what the hunters would be okay if that was the case. Yeah. And if for some reason Dracula decides, okay, I'm going to move 3 C spaces, then Dracula's moving 3 C spaces. He's taking all that damage. The hunters are all kind of already in position to kind of stop him. I mean, maybe John Seward isn't. John Seward's going to have to move back, but he's going to have time. Yeah. So I think you're right. I think just having him in the east is better.
You can let Seward mop up these 3 encounters, and the other 3 can just be supplying and doing whatever they want to do.
Right, they're all in C spaces right now, right? This is kind of where you'd want them to be, right? I mean, maybe Godalming could be on a large city, but it's fine. I think Valona's the spot he needs to be right now.
The downside to this is that Mina doesn't have horses, but you could either supply twice, or you could get Van Helsing up to Munich to block the wolf form from Venice, because that's the most dangerous wolf form now. And then get Mina over to... Well, you can just keep Mina where she is, because it's Adriatic. So it stops the wolf form to Genoa. Well, no, Genoa's on the board. You have to misdirect it, but still.
Yeah, I think Genoa... I think her being in Genoa is important. I think Van Helsing being in Marseille could be good, depending on if he keeps If he keeps moving in C, I think Marseille is really good. If he wolf forms right now, then you're right. Van Helsing should go north immediately to make sure he's not doing that. We'll see. But this is not bad. I think if the hunters can keep the board like this, there will be opportunities will come. Right, the opportunity will come. They just have to keep Dracula from getting advantage. I think that's exactly what they're doing right now. They're making him play defensively and running away, and they're dealing with his encounters in such a way that they have extra time in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, like this is getting dealt with 3 turns before it would go off the board. So even if something were to happen, like John Seward was to be delayed or somehow, I don't know. But if it feels like they have the tools to deal with the problems Dracula's giving them, and then some.
I agree. And also the thing is too, like, Dracula can't land in Valona for free anymore, which would he want to. He's now, if he wants to go into the east, he has to wolf form.
and then it's used, right? And then he's probably not getting it back because the vampires are getting mopped up in Italy. Unless, of course, there's a second one that Jon Stewart doesn't have a stake for. But, you know, you have
Yeah.
two other hunters that are right there. I'm sure they could deal with it if they had to.
Or the other option is if he wants to play more aggressive, he wolf forms and he hopes that Godalming moves onto his space immediately, and because there's no Lucy's Revenge anymore, he can then try and escape his bat from the combat. But
Yeah, like
then,
Wolf forms into Sophia and then hopes that that Godalming moves on to Sophia. Yeah, I can see that.
But then you just ask if things go wrong. There could be a heroic leap get traded, or Godalming escapes from the combat, or because he's got a right.
Sister Agatha's here now, so
Oh,
combat is not on
that's
his
a
side anymore.
that's a very good point. I think Godalming has two. What does he have? He's got a knife and rifle, so that then stops escapes bat. So that'd be an awful move, actually. Now thinking about it a bit more, it's very risky. He might want to do
It's a
it
problem
just
with like.
to try to bully
Oh, sorry.
Godalming. That's the only thing.
Mhm.
He's got 11 health. Like you don't
Yeah,
kill
Godalming's
11
not getting
health.
bullied. He can stand tall. He's got his support squad. He's got Sister Agatha. He's got three people who've been or maybe not three, two people who've been supplying a lot to get the good combat events. That's the problem with Dracula being like, I'm gonna go into combat against this person. Especially if it's Jon Stewart or Godalming, Van Helsing will be able to see that they're getting into combat and then trade them before the fight happens, right? That's not where you want to be. Theoretically, if it's with Van Helsing or Mina, there won't be time to do that because if they run into you, there won't be a Van Helsing action left to trade items before the dusk fight. But
Oh look,
you know,
there's the wolf.
yeah. So now Van Helsing's got to go check, make sure it's not Munich. But the thing is, even if like let's say Van Helsing goes up north and it's not Munich and ends up being in the east, him being in Munich anyway is just good, right? Like they can make natural moves that will check one thing, and also
Yeah,
if it's not that, it's still a good move anyway, right? That's where you want to be.
yeah, absolutely. You know, Munich's a great place because then you can easily go back and check Milan if he's missed that. I don't think he's wolf formed to Venice, but he could. I wouldn't wolf form to Venice with Mina there. And you know, Mina doesn't have
Yeah,
horses.
wolf forming to Venice is bad.
Sometimes you can trick hunters by wolf forming to the port, but the fact you know Mina doesn't have horses, she's probably going to move to Venice. But then if he does go east, well then Munich's great for going to the east. Within 1 or 2 turns, you're there. So an economy seems pretty good. I don't think I've seen a failed ticket yet.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
I think I've underestimated how. Wow. Okay. Maybe I'll stop talking. We need to watch what's happening right now. But like the turn order in this game is so interesting, right? It dictates so much, and being able to go out of turn order is so much better than I would have imagined it would be, right? Because now Van Helsing can go check it first, and if he is in Munich,
and if he's in Munich, Godalming can get there too if he rolls well. Oh,
yes,
wow!
right.
Yeah.
That's the power of the speed telegraph in this instance. Okay, he's not there.
He's not.
Maybe
there.
Do you just normal move to Milan now and make sure he's not there either.
Maybe.
Is that
if I was?
If he's not.
If I'd been sued, I might have just done a cheeky supply first before moving to Naples because he's down an item and he might get hired scouts.
There's a bug here.
No. Warcraft's just telling him be aware of the bug and don't trigger it, basically. But I think it's okay.
What bug is it?
Oh, the whole speedy telegraph being broken.
Oh, well, you see how he's like taken one action with Van Helsing, and now he's taken one action with Mina, and they still both have one action left. That's how it's supposed to work, right?
Oh,
they can act in the order.
Oh no. What the bug is, if he jumps onto Dracula's space and Dracula ambushes all the hunters, depending on what the encounter is, it might break the game. That's the problem. That's the bug we're talking about. But
okay, got it.
It should be okay because it all depends on the specific encounter. Oh, interesting. Aggressive chartered carriage.
Well, we know unless he did go to Venice or he went to Florence, he's not in. He didn't go that way because Milan's been checked, Genoa, Mina was there, Munich's been checked. So either he's in Venice, he's in Florence, or he went east. I feel like
Florence is on the trail.
Florence or Venice? Oh, Florence is on the trail. Okay, so it's not Florence. It's Venice. I feel like that chair carriage is fine. If he's in Venice, I don't think he's in Venice. Venice feels not great. I guess this is the exact situation where going to Venice would be good because then if everyone assumes you've gone east and they all hurry east, then you can just kind of maybe sneak to Genoa, maybe get back on a port so you can like go to sea if things get bad. Maybe. I could see it, but it's risky, right? Because if someone finds you in Venice, then you have nowhere to go.
Oh, if only he supplied first, he would have got Rufus Smith to search. Oh man.
You search. Oh, he didn't search Venice. Ooh.
Well, he searched Sarajevo, which is a legitimate wolf.
He searched Sarajevo.
Yeah, and I think Dracula might have been sneaky and potentially done it and then backtracked towards the. I've only done that first. I mean, it didn't matter, but you never know. You can just get lucky and get because I think there's only been there's been a couple of hired scouts. I think.
Really, I thought there was only one. I'll check while you keep looking.
There's
One.
there are two. Yeah.
Oh, there's two. Okay, so there's two left in the deck. Yeah, I mean that's fair. I think especially with Speed Telegram, you having the agency to like do things whenever you want. Supplying first with people like Jon Stewart is probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean it's all gravy. I don't know about checking Sarajevo though. I feel like checking. Maybe I'm crazy. I think maybe he went to Venice, but just checking Venice to be sure, or checking because if he went to Sarajevo, think about it. He's in Sarajevo right now. If Godalming doesn't move off of Valona, best place he can go after Sarajevo with Helsing where he is probably Sofia, right? Where he could have just been this turn with the wolf form anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like Sarajevo is not the best place to be, especially when he doesn't have any wolf form anymore to get out of there.
Sofia is definitely the safer move, but then again, because it's so safe, it's very obvious. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I think he's probably there, right? I mean, unless he went to Athens, but
he might have gone to Athens, but then it's so awkward because he's gonna have to back. Well, even if he might just leave instantly. Then he might hide and then leave.
it's not going to buy him much time, unfortunately, if he's in Athens, right? Because he's going to have to go to sea again immediately.
And I think the Huns have got decent movement by the looks of it, so they can just get out of these, especially Van Helsing can. The fact he's used a charted carriage with Mina, that's good for Dracula. Oh.
Well, the thing is, whoa, what? Oh,
is it? Oh, is that a blocking move?
Yeah, I guess maybe he doesn't want to move on to him with Godalming. There's no reason to. If it's just going to be the two of them in the fight, I suppose, right? That's just asking for like a trouble somehow.
Well, this works for Dracula though, because the Heavenly Host have been discarded. Maybe they've been picked up, but Seward doesn't have it because he's revealed dogs, so he hasn't got a Heavenly Host. So maybe you're right. Maybe Dracula has gone to sea because he's figured that Seward wouldn't get a Heavenly Host in time.
Well, the thing is, I think he has to leave again, right? I did not expect this kind of mobilization with the Hunters. If he stays in the east, I don't think he can stay more than like 1 or 2 turns because they're all here now, right? 3 of them are in the east now. He has to leave again.
So what he might play risky and say, well, they've used 1 renewed vigor. They probably don't have another one. Let's feed and then leave, or he might just leave immediately.
They've gone through a good amount of the deck. There's only 33 cards left, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know how many Draculas there are left, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 13 Dracula events left in the deck. So there's 20 Hunter events they haven't gotten yet. I feel like when the event deck is that low, it is hard to start saying things like, I'm going to play like they don't have X, Y, or Z, right?
Yeah. Or look at the
I mean,
game.
he could still do it.
We'll look at the game that we were looking at in the community sort of discussion that within the first 22 cards, Skybreaker got 2 new vigors and 2 full warns.
Right. I think it's more reasonable. If there's like 50 cards in the deck left, being like, okay, he probably doesn't have both renewed vigors, or both 4 warns, that makes a lot of sense to me. I can get behind that reasoning. When there's like 30 cards left, more than half the deck is gone, that's still possible, and it's still not unlikely, but it's also not super likely, right?
Sometimes as Dracula, you just have to play the probability game. And sometimes you'll get it right, sometimes you'll get it wrong. But sometimes you just have to go, well, based upon the maths, I think I'm safe with this move, or based upon this move, I'm not safe. And just sometimes you'll get it wrong, sometimes you'll get it right. There's just nothing you can really do about it.
There's the math, and then there's also the like reading what the Hunters are doing, right? Like, and I think you can, to a limited extent, you can do that. I think especially in the last week, like if they're not night supplying, what does that tell you? If they need consecrated ground and they're not night supplying, what does that tell you? They probably already have it.
Yeah. Their actions might choreograph what they've got. Also depends on the prompts too, because we can't see it, right? We won't know until tomorrow. Because we've used 1 long night, 2 space telegraphs, and 1 renewed vigor. So the only things that can trigger during the day now on at dawn are surprising return, but you'd see it at night as well, or dusk, and another renewed vigor, and 1 other long night. So. But Dracula doesn't know it until he's made his move. That's the problem. You can't know it in advance.
If he's in Sofia right now, right, and you're Dracula, you're in Sofia, you see the board, what is the thought process? Because what are we doing? Are we going to, what's it called? Are we going to Salonika? Are we going, I feel like moving inland is a death sentence, personally, at this point. Like, if he's in Sofia, does he just run to Salonika? Does he
I know it sounds weird, but I might go to the Black Sea coast. Because here's the thing,
That's
like,
fair.
Rufus Smith isn't in play. You know there's a Discred Sword in Naples that's definitely going to mature unless Sue just sits there and supplies and gets a Heavenly Host. You could feed before you leave too. It's not the end of the world.
And I think that the hunters will probably check the Black Sea coast second after checking like
Yes.
Salonika and Athens. So you'll have a
Yes.
little bit of extra time if you do that.
Yes, I agree. I agree.
So yeah, I could see Varna as a move, or maybe he's just in Athens right now, and this is a non-entity, and he's just gonna either hide, feed, or leave, and those are his options.
Yeah, because
Or I
naturally
suppose go to Bologna. He could go to Bologna. But...
he could go to Valona, he could be going to Salonika, but I think they're just going to get checked first. Especially that you know that Van Helsing has horses, Godalming has horses. The fact that Mina doesn't have horses is a little bit of an advantage here, but obviously she's the one who's furthest back, so... Yeah, this is very interesting. This is kind of... Oh, there's a stake in the discard pile. Oh yeah, because it was taken from the vampire. That's right. Ooh. Sorry, Warecraft. Warecraft is like sending me loads of messages in Discord about the game, and I'm not reading them. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
There's clearly a lot going on. I should get it up on my phone and see if he's saying anything. We need to get Warecraft in here. Warecraft, if you're watching this, get your ass into one of these commentaries. That's what I did. I said to PizzaW, and then look, he's here. So, I mean, Warecraft's asking, is it 3 or 50? Ah, that must be for the wolf form. Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. That's yeah, it's a very good question. I think it's like Seward's not going to be waxed during the day, probably. So it's not going to get revealed. Yeah, he's going to do a Bari. That makes absolutely perfect sense.
Why do you move Mina to Rome, or not Rome, to Budapest?
I think he did with a chartered carriage just because of the idea of
he's gonna leave, or
no, I think it's because it looks even more likely that he is in the east. He wanted to get in there quickly, but again, it's a bit of a waste. Oh, hang on, let's check the layers. Ah, Genoa is on the trail. He could have gone Venice. He could have gone. Oh, he's in Sofia. Okay, so I was about to say, he could have actually still gone Venice, Milan, but no, that's now mute. So he was in Sofia. So he just made the really obvious move.
Well, yeah, Sofia's really safe, gives you a lot of options, right? Like you can go more land movements if you have time. If you don't have time, you can like immediately run to a coast city. Whereas Athens kind of locks you into, I am probably going to just be like leaving in the next 3 turns, right? Ooh, we're warned on a spy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that just happened.
Ooh.
On Van Helsing.
Interesting that he ambushed.
Yes, he must feel under some sort of pressure right now, right?
Yeah, but like...
That is kind of weird. I guess Van Helsing's probably going to search it tonight, right, if it didn't get ambushed?
Well, maybe not, because if you think, I'll wait until Dracula goes to sea first. Or maybe he ambushed because he wanted to get the full... Oh, well, actually, now this opens up a really interesting possibility. Now he knows the Fullborn's gone. He is much safer to go to Athens and put down fog if he has it.
As that Discord post was showing us, there is a second forewarned in the deck. We have gone a decent amount through it, right? I don't know if Dracula wants to be playing the game of if they have second forewarned, I just die, right? I guess he's not in that position yet. If he's in Athens, they still probably can't all get to him unless they have a renewed vigor or something.
But then the thing's like, night fight with this is now very interesting. Okay, but the thing is like, there's no speedy telegraph, so he has to make sure that Godalming has forewarned. Now that requires he needs renewed vigor and he needs to get Godalming with forewarned before he moves in. Or Godalming doesn't move in and is Van Helsing. Yeah. But Mina doesn't have the movement, I don't think. She needed another sentence of emergency. So there's so many things you have to have for that play to work. Maybe it's safe to just go to Athens.
That's true. Athens is somewhat safe for one more turn, I think. After that, I think he has to leave, though. Okay. Johnsword picked up a second combat item somewhere along the way, so he doesn't just have garlic now.
He has a... he revealed it. Rifle, I think.
Oh, he has a rifle. Okay.
He has horses, dogs. He supplied after losing the stake, and he got dogs. It was a little bit unfortunate, but it's what it is.
If there was a spy or something over here, which
Yeah.
maybe is a little bit unlikely, but could have happened.
And then you wouldn't expect a hunter to have dogs, so.
I have every time dogs stops encounter, what's the word? I am so happy about it, even though I know it's not that good. I am unexpectedly happy the dogs have done something. I don't know. Like it's such a satisfying feeling seeing an encounter go off the trail with nothing happening to it, and I'm not even using a forewarn, which is like one of the best cards in the game.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I mean, obviously you're not taking dogs over a weapon, but if you happen to have it on John Seward because he has 4 item slots.
Yeah, this is interesting.
A few times.
In the chat, I've got oh yikes! I mean, Workhouse just said to me that Seward dying would seal the game. There's still a long way to go, and the fact that the Hunters.
Seward's not dying here, right? He has garlic and he has dodge. He's not dying. He'll be fine.
Maybe the vampire might just claw through it.
That's true. Especially now that he has no gun to finish it off with.
Yeah, and the fact then too, I mean, we have to also have to respect the possibility that great strength is in play. It might not be, but there's so many. You can just imagine he's just holding on to lots of good things. But even then, yeah he gets 4 points. But then the vampire would mature. That's the problem, right? It's
another 8 points. It gets him to 10. Plus John Seward is dead. That's a horse gone.
Yeah.
Plus like the best hunter, arguably. Tell me he left. Okay.
Okay, he left. Okay, so that was gnarly, but yeah. Okay, so I could. Seward dying on its own isn't the problem. It's the fact that the vampire would mature behind it, which is
and
bad.
he deal with it though, even though he's alive.
Yeah, well, maybe you're just gonna have to sack it off. You're gonna have to let it mature, unfortunately, because there's no stake. He can't afford to.
This is a small city, so he can't sit and supply.
Yeah, which is then maybe an advantage to going to Bari like this last. So it's actually working out well for Dracula. He hasn't played the obfuscation game, but he's played the I don't think you can catch me anyway game, and it's actually worked.
It's worked somewhat. He has burned a renewed vigor, which is putting a lot of pressure on him here, and maybe making him leave earlier than he might have wanted to originally.
Yep.
But it didn't kill him. It didn't deal damage to him. It didn't stop an important encounter that he was the renewed vigor could have done worse things to him. I think he's okay with it.
Yeah, and the fact that he's used a forewarned as well. So
I wonder what was on Van Helsing. Maybe he only had one weapon, a knife, and he didn't want to get rid of it.
Yeah, no, that's very possible.
He had double white one or something, but I don't know.
Yeah. So this has just been a very just sort of steady, just small accumulations of victories here for Dracula. Nothing dramatic, but just slowly getting there. The
question is, if Dracula leaves from sea here, right? Presumably he will go west. Most likely he will go west in some fashion.
Yeah.
Do the hunters have enough time to get him before Pete starts winning the game?
Well, that's a very good question.
I mean, hard to say now, right? We'll see how it plays out. But I don't know. It's Tuesday today. Wednesday could be Tyrrhenian. Thursday's Mediterranean. Friday's South Atlantic. Saturday's North Atlantic. Sunday's English Channel. Wolf forms into I don't know what the name of it, a small seaport that is on the Irish Sea in England.
Swansea, yeah.
Swansea, yeah.
Maybe he could do it more gradual steps where he goes to Tyrrhenian. Wolfhorn wouldn't be off the trail, so he could add in Cagliari, put stuff.
Feed maybe by
yeah,
time. Both the excellent whales are gone.
That's very important. Renewed Vigor's gone, but he could have CG and then. But look at his encounter deck. His encounter deck's about to reset.
Well, and you say he can have CG. If he lands in Cagliari, it's not a problem there. And if he lands in Cagliari, by the time he would get to England, he'll have his wolf form back. Presumably he'll have health to get there. He can wolf form to a point where the CG won't kill him instantly. Although I suppose he will have to move 3 or 4 times to win. So he won't do it wolf form and then move once and win, which is maybe what I'm more used to seeing. But
the vampire maturing in Bari accelerates everything.
That's true. 3 moves.
It needs to move 3 moves.
I mean, yeah, theoretically, then he could just land in Swansea. He like hides there or moves to the bigger port city, and then Liverpool. And then if he's found there, then he can.
You
Okay, yeah,
don't,
so he just went Salonika and then left.
but he doesn't have to do that.
He doesn't have to,
He
right?
does,
He's a lot of options here.
no, but what I mean by from a hunter perspective, you don't need to check Salonika. If you're committing to Bari maturing, then you don't need to do a Salonika.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's a good point.
Unless Seward is just going to try and fight the vampire again tomorrow and hope that he can just kill it. Oh, but he's broken. Oh, his rifle got broken though. Nah, there's no
Right, at
way.
night, this is not happening. Like he has garlic. Garlic is not gonna kill that vampire.
So then the argument would be, as Seward,
I guess
he should have stayed in Naples and supplied and hoped he'd get another stake or some other really good combat card, and then move into
he didn't know
Bari.
Bari was a vampire, right? He didn't know it. It could have been Fog number 2. It could have been,
Yeah, I know.
it didn't have to be a vampire. I mean, it was likely that it was.
I guess
But,
I work off worst case scenario.
mhm.
But
But yeah,
yeah.
you're right. I think putting a vampire like in Bari before you leave is probably it's a common thing. I think that's a thing that happens a lot, right? Because Bari is
Oh,
kind of hard to get to. If people are going all the way to Bari, then they're kind of going out of the way. So
I'm
I
not
think
sure
it's a
what.
common thing to put a vampire there.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm not sure what this Athen move is.
he
You
could
need.
try to get on the sea, maybe.
But
But
just go by horses. You'll get there just as quickly, or if not quicker, and it gives you more flexibility of movement. His economy's
so he
good.
was at. mm,
Oh,
Oh,
and he's just gifted. Oh, that's now an interesting question for Dracula.
does he have a heavenly host? Oh, sorry.
But the first, if Bari matures, that Desecrator gets wiped anyway.
But I think you just take the 4 points, right? 4 points
Yeah,
is better than
yeah,
3 health, probably.
yeah, you have to. Yeah. So
And you get Wolfman back sooner. Yeah.
he's basically just gifted Dracula 3 encounter cards. Hmm.
That's true. That's very relevant. I mean, we haven't seen the second fog. It's possible the second fog is still in his hand, right? That's the thing when you're saving the fogs as Dracula. If the encounter deck reshuffles before the second fog goes off the trail, but then you don't actually have 2 fogs in the deck, right? You can only draw a third one. You can't draw a third and fourth.
That's true. Yeah. So
But
I think what's happening is Dracula held. Well, he has because we haven't seen it. Unless he somehow layered it, we don't know. But the most likely
yeah.
option is he was holding on to it, and now he might get the third one out, but maybe not. Or maybe he did layer it. Maybe he's put it. He could be really sneaky and put it into Genoa. So then, as he's heading, he could go Ionian, Tyrrhenian, wolf form to Marseille, and then as they pile into Genoa to try and catch him, he fogs them.
That's really good. It would require a lot of foresight, though, right? That Genoa got layered a while ago. That was
Yes.
before the Forewarned got played. That was,
Yep.
that
That's
would
true.
take a lot of planning,
Hmm.
and we'll see if he did that. I personally doubt it, but we've seen crazier things. It's definitely possible.
Yeah.
There we go. 3.
Yep.
Yep.
3 health, and he's about to get 4 points as well, unless something miraculous happens with Seward.
And there is no renewed vigor. I just realized the day thing does not have waiting. There is no renewed vigor. There's not a second one, at least not yet.
Wow. And the thing is, at this point, the hunters are going to have to be moving so much to get into position to cover him from the west side, around Genoa, Marseille area. They're not going to be able to supply.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, me neither. No, I feel if you just have to go by land, I don't like sea movement at all.
Like the sea movement, just you lose out on. I guess they're both full health, right? So the healing a non-issue. But like if Van Helsing's at sea, that means there's going to be no trading happening. You can't set people up the way you might want to. If the tickets aren't locked in, maybe the tickets are locked in, and again, that isn't an issue. But you're always going to be, especially now when you're a turn behind him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it means he probably can't land in Cagliari, or maybe he can because he'll have one turn there. He could land there and then leave immediately if he wanted to. I don't know why he would, because there's also no surprising return, which means that Rufus isn't going to come back.
Now, this could be interesting
Yeah.
for Seward. He's going to have to walk onto a layer here. Florence is a layer. Rome's a layer.
True. Yeah, you just got to bite the bullet, right? Take the one layer. Hope it's maybe a hoax that he put in there because he didn't think it would be any use. Okay, that is not.
That was what I feared. And imagine if he has actually put a vampire. He might not have done. But even if it's a damaging encounter, he has no weapon. So you'd be back down to 1 health if it's a wolves, for example. If it's a vampire.
Is he only on 3? He's on at 5? Oh, he's at 5. He's at 5. He's okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
but that's what I
he's
mean.
a 5.
If it's a wolf, because
Oh,
he's got no weapon, so wolves would take him down to
mhm.
1.
You're
Uh,
right. Yeah.
and delay him,
I
so
think.
that just it makes wolf forming from Tyrrhenian even safer than it would have been.
Yeah, I think I underutilized like making layers effective. I think most of the time I'm just like, okay, you know what this layer is? It's a way for me to discard the cards I don't think I'm gonna use, and then people step on them, and I'm like, oh, that's the aristocratic vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the hoe, and I'm like, they don't do anything, right? But
Yeah.
maybe putting the bats in there and stuff is good,
I
especially if it's somewhere like Genoa where they might actually just walk into it because it's convenient.
Yep. Yep. I think putting bats into port cities is just. That was one of my games from the League of Dracula last year against Mr. Green. I was doing Pirate Dracula stuff, and he went into Genoa actually of all places, and I had bats there, and he had to forewarn the bats even though it was a layer. It would have just it would have just ruined
That
his game.
it
Um,
feels so nice. What did Van Helsing do this turn? Did he supply?
oh, good point. I didn't even notice. He must have supplied. Oh, there's the wolves. It doesn't kill him. Oh, he's got the dogs. Of course he does. Oh well, so
Oh,
that
he has.
counts.
Oh, look at that! Beautiful dogs. Good job.
Oh,
Good
doggos.
boys.
Yeah.
Good boys. Yeah,
So yeah, it
look at that.
doesn't take the damage. So, but still, the fact he's
Yeah.
delayed, he's pushed further away. You
Mhm.
know, Dracula could even be a little bit bolder if he wanted to, and just land in Genoa.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, who's gonna get to him, right? Both the hunters are like 2 turns away from landing there.
Yeah.
Mina's, unless she has like chartered carriage the second time. Does she do? Is that her reveal event card right now? Is it another chartered carriage?
I
If it is, she could get there
no,
this turn.
she has
But
an escape route.
escape route. Okay,
Oh, but
so I mean, unless she has.
she has another event. But yeah, the fact there's 2 child carriages already. Does he have the third one? He could do, but yeah.
I mean, he
My
has some of the things we're talking about. The question is which ones, right? Does he have the great strength? Does he have the conspiracy ground? Does he have the third character? Some of these answers will be yes. Some of them will be no. We have no way to tell.
yeah, that's absolutely
Right.
true. Yeah. That's why I like it as a commentator sometimes, not to actually know. Even though I like analyzing people's play, it's just quite nice to not know, and then you're like, oh, it's that thing he had.
Dracula didn't discard down to 5 cards. They kept 6. That is interesting. Off the desecrated soils, I assume.
Hmm.
Is that a common thing to keep more than the hand size?
Yeah, I do it. There's no,
Really?
you can if you got all good stuff, there's no need to discard. Yeah.
I guess I've always been of the mentality that like I want to get to the deck as fast as possible. So I'm discarding all the cards so that I will draw more cards out of the deck, so I will then shuffle the deck faster. But if I'm holding on to the fogs, I suppose it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it all depends on what's in your hand in the first place.
Mhm. Yeah.
Sometimes I hold on to everything. It just depends on what it is I'm wanting to do, and then what layers I'm going to put down in the future. Because if you're layering stuff, you're going through the encounters anyway. So, and at this
Mhm.
point in the game, the
He's not
encounter
trying to shuffle the deck again. Yeah.
that's the point, right? It's just as long as he's got what he needs to see out the game, then it's fine.
I really thought the hunters were in such a good spot for so much of this game, but it feels so much worse now. I feel like they overcommitted a little bit to the east, where they didn't
Yeah,
necessarily need to.
and the fact that it was the hunter. Oh yeah, we knew that was going to be true. The hunter with one of the hunters with fast horses was the one who was having to deal with Italy. If it'd
Uh,
been Mina with fast horses, for example, or Mina dealing with Italy and Seward going to the east, then there was probably more potential for renewed vigor play could have worked out a bit better. That's pretty hit.
so
Well,
Genoa is still a lair, so we didn't land in Genoa. Probably Caligari, right? Because of no
yeah, has
excellent
to be.
weather.
Yeah, Cagliari is just so
Okay.
safe. Oh, oh man.
Why is he doing this? I'm confused. Okay, he's gone to Adriatic, right? So presumably he can land in Venice next turn to get back to the mainland. But if he was in I believe it was like Salonika, couldn't he have just horse moved in 2 turns instead of going one,
Yes.
2, 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
And
I guess we didn't know what Dracula was going to do, right? We have more information than he did at that time, but
Yeah. And the fact that then Salonika got searched, so that was a wasted 2 actions because the vampire was going to mature anyway.
Mhm.
I think he's just in Cagliari, and he might just hide and feed and then just go off again.
Mhm.
Because he can.
And he has his wolf form back, so he could like Mediterranean wolf form.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Yeah.
What is this right now? Oh,
Just,
okay, that doesn't matter.
and that's the other thing. Now you got Van Helsing who has horses, which is what you need because you're gonna have the way you win off this is somehow Dracula gets into a little bit of a false sense of security, makes a bad move from wolf form or whatever, and then um, you catch him with CG, and then you can fast force everybody onto him. The fact that the hunter who's there, like Van Helsing with fast horses, is just sitting and supplying, that's not ideal.
As a note, there are no holy heavenly hosts in the discard pile, so maybe he picked up consecrated ground somewhere along the way and has now decided that he's going to keep the heavenly host to make the consecrated ground better. Because he's no longer discarding them. There's been like 14 cards discarded, not a single one of them is heavenly host. But, you know, hard to tell. Yeah, it feels like he's Van Helsing. Yeah, it feels bad passing with Van Helsing when you know he's the one who's like his night actions are valuable because he can trade with everyone, and when you pass with him, you're kind of saying like everything is perfect the where it is, right? There's no trade that I want to make that's better than this, which is something you want to think about before you do, right? Before you give up his night actions. Okay, yeah, it's Cagliari. Unless it's like Naples, but that would be really weird. I guess Adriatic is off the trail, but that feels very unnecessarily risky in this position. Probably just Cagliari. And then he just like hides or leaves because no one can get to him this turn. Because, this is premature, I think.
Yeah.
Because he can't get to him this turn, right? There's no excellent weather. If it was an excellent weather or something, or there was the chance of drawing an excellent weather, maybe he thinks he's in Naples. Maybe he's put that into his head that he's in Naples, and that's why he thinks he can do this.
And being sneaky, yeah.
But I feel like there was a better if he's in Naples, you don't need the renewed vigor to catch him. Okay. Yes, we think Cagliari. Got it. Because Genoa's still a layer. Yeah, he's in Cagliari. Okay.
I mean, he could also be in Valona or on the Black Sea coast, but yeah, just the odds are he's gone
That
for
is
safe play Cagliari.
Yeah. Oh, it was Adriatic on the trail when he moved by sea that one time?
Oh, it might have. Yes, it might have been. Yeah, so never mind. He can't beat these. So it's either Black Sea or Cagliari. Oh, he didn't ambush him in Genoa. I was probably aristocratic vampire then.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? The layers, some layers are guts, right? You've put your thing that you wasn't useful at the time to draw something that hopefully is. But this renewed vigor was, and a day trade after you passed the night action the night before. Oh, I don't know about that. Don't know about that, Chief. We'll see.
I agree with you. It looked like the Huns were in a decent position, but it's just the Eastern play didn't quite work out for them. Oh well, okay, he's doing it.
Why are we doing all this as day actions?
Well, the fact that he can then night to play tonight with everybody.
Oh, maybe John Seward just picked it up actually.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening.
Oh.
Oh, and I just realized, yeah, there's 0 cards at the bottom. It's all Hunter events.
That's really good for the Hunters, but what are they going to... I feel like they've used the Renewed Vigor, which is, I think, like one of the few events right now that's going to make a huge difference. Even if they get a bunch of other events, are any of them going to make as big of... What is Mina doing? Oh, maybe he went to Black Sea. Maybe he went to Black Sea.
He just wants to check it, which makes sense.
But if he went to Black Sea, you already have Van Helsing over there, right?
And then he wants to try and get into a 2v1 to kill him, I suppose.
Yeah. I guess I just think it's unlikely with the feed play that he did it, but it's possible to bluff Cagliari, right? And maybe I'll be eating my words when a turn from now it's like, aha, he's in Sofia again because he was in Black Sea the whole time. But then I just feel like they can kind of converge on him, right? I guess Adriatic's off the trail, so they can get off that way. And then, okay, it is Cagliari.
Yeah. It is Cagliari, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. These are all coming up the turn after. It would have been relevant.
That's a shame. That's a real shame.
Do you think it was worth it to trade across the Mystic Research to do it right now, or do you think it would have been okay to like do that at night and then wait a little bit to play it?
At least he gets all these events now, I suppose. And if he ends up getting like oh well, I mean, at least he can find us. He can't hide, I suppose. But he's got wax cylinders. He didn't play wax cylinders this time. But he knows he's completely safe here, right? So what he could even do? Well, how does Dracula play this? Does he hide and then see? So Saturday night hide, Sunday night see, then wolf forms on Monday. He might just do that. They can't get to him. There's no excellent weather.
And there is no more nerd vigor, right? Which I think makes like going into Spain a lot more attractive because now we can't get like, he can't get everybody just zooming over there with renewed vigor, right? They'll have to go at a normal speed, which means that he will be able to. Yeah, that renewed vigor being used there, this makes it so much easier for Dracula, right? He's no longer going to get just like converged on at super fast speeds.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, this is nasty. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think he could hide now. He could go to C now and then wolf form and then save or go to C maybe. Like, I mean, he doesn't even need to go to for IDS's sake at this point. I suppose he wants to do as little C movement as possible. So maybe he does like hide C move wolf form.
Ed was asking about the mechanic with rumor token, but technically that's information that should be known. So that's entirely. Okay, if Fangs is giving, if Fangs is telling him the information, then that's fine. But Fangs was under no discretion to give him that information.
Yeah. I'm certainly not going to chime in and give him that information.
No, me neither. But yeah, he should be able to place rumor token here. So yeah, I mean, he's safe. The only thing that could go wrong here is because the two hunters which are close forward.
I suppose.
Yeah, if they both got fast horses, so then if they catch him in a really awkward spot, or they just get a little bit lucky with how they move and they find him, and then if there's a CG, it could then be curtains.
Right, but I don't like, for the Hunters' sake, how this game has turned from the Hunters are doing really well to now, what are the few ways we think the Hunters can now get him, right? It's not the way the dialogue has progressed throughout the game, right? It's like, we'll see. He definitely needs to get moving west, though, right? Because he's definitely going west. He has nowhere else to go. Everybody needs to start kicking it in the high gear.
The argument maybe is that. Oh, I don't know. No. You need to prepare for him to wolf up from Mediterranean.
Right.
If Van
you got to get
Helsing,
ahead of him at this point.
yeah, if Van Helsing and Mina stay and supply, I completely understand that because they're so far off, where Dracula's going to be. May as well just supply, and you might get something useful.
My question is, why did we move Van Helsing to Athens? I suppose it's a big city, so we can supply for items there, but like, why did we move him all the way down there? Like, he was in if I remember correctly, he was in Sarajevo. He could have just like gone back to Munich.
Yeah, and he could have been like he could have been in Marseille right now.
Yeah, or even if maybe you think he went Black Sea, you leave him in Munich because okay, this is so bad. This is he can just now land wherever he wants, right? I mean, like.
Yeah, I mean they'll follow him to the Mediterranean most likely, but the thing's like
but then he wolf forms, and then they can only land in port.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I'm
not trying to be mean here. I feel like this is the whole. You need to get ahead of him rather than kind of chasing his coattails at this point in the game, right?
Yeah, I agree. If they had a renewed vigor, it was like a whole bait to like get him to wolf form, and then you land in the port, and then you fast horse on top of him
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you combined it with, I know speed telegraph is being used, but if you combine it with a speedy telegraph to get hired scouts to find him or whatever, then it could work. But yeah, this is just you need to stay on land. Staying in the exact same positions they were would have been better than moving to sea, which is a real shame.
I don't know if the Godalming in Italy would have been great, but I think being in sea is just it minimizes your options so much, right? You can only it telegraphs your movement, right? You can only go to port next turn. If you're on land, you can horse. Yeah. You can move by 2. You could have a sense of emergency and move by 3. You have so much of a wider like sphere of that you could go there next turn. I don't know how to describe it, but you can go more places when you're on land, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, I forgot he was in Rome. Yeah, if they were in Genoa and Marseille, the two of them, then that'd have been better. But
that would have been really good.
Genoa didn't get ambushed. It could have. Oh, imagine if it was second foggy. It traps both of them. But yeah, I agree. What's going to happen here is then Dracula's just going to instantly land and wolf form. They might be able to catch him then the next day with the they have CG.
They probably have CG, and they probably have at least 2 Heavenly Hosts, I would imagine, because but let me check the discard pile. They discard any of them? I don't think so, probably.
No.
No, okay.
Mm.
The question is, do they have all 3? And if they do have all 3, can they get him in a good enough spot from his wolf form location to catch him, essentially, right? Because it's still possible, right? Like let's say, I don't know, he wolf forms a Zurich or something, and you like block off Strasbourg, you block off Munich, you block off Milan, and you block off Geneva, and he can't stay in place unless he dark calls, or maybe I don't know, you pick Zurich instead of Geneva, so he has to move to Geneva or to Marseille, where you presumably land one of the hunters. You could still get him there. It's still possible. It's just I don't know how you say it, Tasper. I commentate and spectate a lot less than you do. But I feel like the real turning point in this game was everything looked so hopeful, right? He had taken Dracula out of Italy. He had supplied a lot. He had a lot of events. He had a lot of items. He had dealt with 2 rumor tokens. It was all looking good. And then he used the first renewed vigor to kind of get into the east really fast. And then he used the second one a little bit ineffectually before Dracula landed. And I think those were the 2 things. I mean, the first one was fine because it made Dracula leave sooner. That was good.
Mm-hmm.
But once both of them would be used before you really were in a position to hit Dracula, it makes Dracula's position so much safer, right? He can play knowing there will be no renewed vigor this game.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's really key. And we start to respect consecrated ground.
Mina's now made it to the point where she could be relevant, especially if he goes to
like Milan or Zurich or something.
Yeah. What you really want right now is like a surprising return to like start pinpoint checking spots you think he might land, right? That would be another way to get him with consecrated ground, but oh no. No. He'll just move. He'll just keep moving. Like his IDS will be worse, but he'll just like go to England if he has to.
You want to try and catch him with CG after he's landed.
He could theoretically even go back to Cagliari and then just like dark. Oh no, they would land on. That'd be bad. Never mind. Don't go back to Cagliari. Terrible idea.
And hides there, so you can't misdirect it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So lots of bad things about what I'm saying, but he'll just keep moving by sea if you make it so he can't land now, right?
Yeah, exactly. And if he wanted just to avoid any possibility of the hunters jumping onto him, he can just go South Atlantic, North Atlantic, Ireland, and then the Cagliari matures.
Oh yeah, because there's no more CG. CG's gone. So now he can just, with impunity, land wherever he wants on Ireland or whatever, and he'll be fine. I suppose the hunters will be right next to him since they're all moving by sea, but he can wolf form. You know, like he can wolf form to to Dublin, and then if they go on to Ireland, he just leaves again and goes into England. Like, granted, he's gonna not. Maybe his IDS is gonna be worse than he counted on it being, but you're not playing this game for the IDS, right? You're playing it to win. So win first and foremost, IDS second.
But here's the thing: when if he goes to Ireland and he lands, South Atlantic, North Atlantic, when he lands in Ireland, I wouldn't have put it in Cagliari. If he lands in Ireland, Cagliari instantly matures.
Yeah. Is someone gonna stop? Is like one of the 2 of them, maybe Godalming, gonna go and try to kill that vampire? I don't think either of them have a stake, right? So it would be a fight.
Yeah, but then if they're dealing with that, they're not dealing with Dracula unless Van Helsing's going to go and deal with it. But it's too late now. Dracula's going to move. It's too late to do it.
Yeah, I mean, Van Helsing is not doing anything in this game aside from supplying and trading, right? He is way too far out of position at this point. It's already 4th week. He's not getting there.
I thought what he was going to do here was like block Alicante to make Dracula go to South Atlantic, and then maybe the phase block Cadiz off with Lisbon with the maybe the option is you block Galway instead. So then Dracula's going to have to I don't know. Dracula just see it out though, I think.
Yeah, I think this has also happened to me, where I believe specifically where you and Roscoe were coming to me, and I was like Dracula, and they CG'd before I landed in in the Mediterranean Sea, so I went back to Cagliari, I think, and then I had enough points that I could just sit there and win. But I don't know about using the CG before people land. I feel like it's just normally a better policy to. I mean, maybe if they're about to win, right? If he had like 10 points and him landing wins the game, then you do it because he'll have less IDS, right? At that point, if you can't win the game, lower his health if you can. But in this position, you have to let him come on land so that you can catch him, right? Otherwise, right, you have to kind of entice him with that. He can win with more health, so he'll land sooner rather than going with the safe, I will 100% win by just going all the way to England.
Yeah, and I've been caught with that sometimes, being a bit greedy and going, oh, I can win a turn earlier, and then CG ruins it for you. Yeah, I think I agree. I think the early game was really interesting. I think the Huns got a little bit unlucky, no newspaper reports, but the fact that the mature effects weren't as bad as they could have been. Hun and Florence when it
like they weren't nothing, but yeah. Oh, sorry, you keep going.
But they weren't game breaking. It's like it wasn't like like you said, a hoax mature. That would have been just awful.
Right.
But then the fact, it's just the slight misuse of renewed vigor, the sort of the charge into the east, which didn't work out in the Hunter's favor, and then just since then, there's just it's Dracula's just slowly seen out the game. This has been a very methodical performance.
Do you think it would have been better to like just move into position first, and then if Dracula was still there, then renewed vigor to get onto him, rather than renewing vigor first to like kind of get everyone close, and then having Dracula just leave?
I think so. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I get the first renewed vigor because there were a lot of locations to check, so I understand that. But yeah.
Right. In the world where he landed in like Milan, that renewed vigor is very good, right? Because then you've checked Milan, you've checked Munich. If he's in any of those places, he'll be found first because you've used speed telegraph. And if he is there, you can get like 2 or 3 hunters there this turn. The fact that he ended up being in the east, which was kind of the more likely play, I think, and then not really being able to get anyone, because obviously they were all in Italy, right? It's unrealistic to be like, I'm going to renew vigor from Italy and get all the way to like Sofia in one turn with like 3 people. That seems a little bit unrealistic. So he did the best he could. He did have a lot of movement events, and he got close, but not close enough to where he could threaten Dracula the next turn, right? Or that turn. Unfortunately, Dracula was just able to go to Salonika and then leave. Okay, so John Seward has gone to deal with Cagliari. It's awkward that Cagliari is a small city because you can't like supply to find a stake there or other weapons.
That's what makes it, quite a nice little location for Dracula to do stuff. Has he picked up another stake? No, all the stakes are in the discard pile, right? 1, 2, 3. All the stakes are in the discard pile. How on earth is he going to kill this vampire?
He has supplied, I think, a little bit since the last time he fought. So he will probably have. He has a heavenly host, I remember, from the consecrated ground, at least.
But then I guess if he doesn't kill it, Dracula just lets it mature to win. So
right at this point, is it just fighting for the IDS at this point, making Dracula do more C moves, making his health be less when he wins?
Yeah, force Dracula to
make. I think he's got it, right?
Yeah, just give Dracula a little bit more to think about, and Dracula might end up, might mess up.
That's true. If Dracula makes a mistake, the Hunters could still win it, but I think it's come down to Dracula needs to make a mistake. I think if Dracula plays it like a computer, like, I don't know, the Deep Blue chess computer, he has it. But if he's a human, humans make mistakes.
Absolutely. Under the pressure, of a game, might easily just make, just the wrong move or whatever. But I think
the wolf form hide could happen.
Yeah. No. I think also then the fact that Garmi's the only one with horses. Mina hasn't got movement anymore to get onto wherever Dracula. Dracula can just wolf form to Bordeaux now. Kadami can't get onto him this turn. Then Dracula can move for free, so that's definitely 6 points in the bag. So the question is then, what about this vampire?
There is a lot of like stuff that Dracula has to think about, but as events get played out, like Renewed Vigor and Consecrated Ground, and there's less stuff the Hunters have in their hand, it makes Dracula's moves easier and easier because he no longer has to play around them, right? Like most of the time I'm playing Dracula, I'm constantly thinking, where is the CGs that are going to hit me? How bad would it be if it was Renewed Vigor was played this turn? But now that all that stuff is gone, Dracula can just like, he can be like kid in the candy store, right? I mean, there's so much more freedom, right? Like he could land in Bordeaux and not be pushed back out to sea by consecrated ground, or be jumped on by a bunch of Hunters from a Renewed Vigor, right? I mean, it's crazy how much more liberating it is when all the events are used.
Yeah.
you know. It's like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had to go for the Heavenly Host,
oh,
but
yeah.
that's
Mhm.
pretty much GG.
Yeah, I mean, the chance of having the chance of having any of the cards, any card that there's two of in the deck is 65%. So, okay, cool. Not super relevant, but
No, I mean the
it
thing is
looks
like,
cool. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think like I know I wouldn't use Great Strength for a bite, but the thing is, I don't think it matters in this case. 'Cause I think that's just sealed the game. Um,
Right, because now he doesn't even have to land, right? He could just like putz around a little bit.
and even if he has a weapon, how's he gonna kill a 6 health vampire with garlic plus maybe one other weapon?
Garlic is good in a defensive capacity, but it's not who you want on like John Seward, who you hope is going to be like the vampire slayer, right? You want a weapon so you can kill the vampire. Kind of the point.
Or you
I
have
mean,
garlic mixed in with other offensive things.
with other weapons, yeah, so that you can counter their strengths that they play against your weapons, which is what he had originally. He lost the rifle to his strength, which was unfortunate. Um,
Wolf form.
yeah,
Oh no,
no,
he's,
it's
he's
just
going he's going for the even safer move. I'll just I
yeah,
mean it doesn't really matter. It's still 1 damage regardless, right? Wolf form
yeah.
or an
I,
extra
I
C minus 1
respect it.
damage. Yeah.
He's securing his win. He's making sure there's not going to be any funny business with like Mina having, I don't know, sense of emergency and getting on him and or
Mm-hmm.
something weird.
Yep.
He's just going to make sure. And yeah, that's fine. He doesn't need to take risks. He can just sit it all out. It'll be okay.
Yeah, I agree. And he has to try to kill this, but it's just unless something ridiculous happens, it's not going to happen now.
I mean, does he even have a weapon? He just has
Yes,
garlic, right?
garlic, and I think he has a weapon. Yeah.
If he was controlling both sides of this fight, he could kill the vampire. Barely, I think. It would be close.
Oh, what do you mean?
Without that, I
What do you
mean,
mean?
if he had the vampire play fangs into his garlic and then did 2 damage to it twice with 2 fangs, and then also like punched it a couple times and got the punches through, he could potentially kill the vampire. If he was telling the vampire what to do. But wait, he has a second combat item? Hold on.
No. So basically, what's happening here is for some reason, Edward Scissorhands can't see the combat. Try. Yeah.
Oh, in the info screen, it says he has 5 combat cards. I assumed he only had the garlic now that the Heavenly Host is gone. Is that?
So it's
Did he have another?
garlic plus something else.
Oh, okay. With the garlic and something else, maybe he can do it. Maybe he can kill the vampire. If it was just garlic and his 3 basic cards, he's not killing a 6 health vampire, right? I mean,
No.
that'd be ridiculous.
So for some reason he can't see the combat screen, and I really hope this game doesn't crash.
I mean, if this game crashes, I think we can. This feels very clear cut, one-sided, right?
Yeah, I agree. I
Like,
agree.
maybe we can argue over how much health Dracula should have at the end, but like, it's. This would be a game where, like, if someone was demanding a rematch, I'd be like, it's. I don't think this is worthy of it, right? This is like, we're literally, I think, 2 days away from the end of the game, and it's very.
Or it could end right
clear
now.
cut.
If he kills Sue, it ends right now.
That's true. Well, we'll see. He's rejoined. Hopefully, this is just all hypothetical. He'll see the combat. It'll play out the way it should, right? We can get into the weeds of what exactly it would be if it actually like doesn't work. Hopefully, it does.
Oh, he's still reconnecting. Okay.
Okay. But a good game though. Definitely a good game. I think when we came into this game with our initial expectations, we saw some really good Hunter play early. We saw some very methodical Dracula play, right? Kind of analytical, like I was trying to say earlier. I think Edward is a guy who has got the right kind of mind for this game. I think he's going to do really well overall.
Yeah.
Like over the course of many games, not just this game.
Sure. You could easily see though, with just a slightly different use of a couple of event cards, this could have easily then swung into the Hunter's favor as well. It was very even for quite a long time.
Right. I mean, I think even is mostly like in the Hunter's favor, right? I think that if you're just like kind of dealing with Dracula and not using your Renewed Vigors and Consecrated Grounds, then you're winning because you'll be able to save those for when in the later part of the game. Because at a certain point, Dracula won't be able to play around everything, right? Because there won't be an option to. If you pen him in enough, that is amazing. It's working. That's good.
Yeah. Okay, so it seems like it's working now, so that's good. I don't know what happened there. That was very strange.
I mean, theoretically, right? If the vampire doesn't die here, he can just land and then get 3 points from that, and then get 6 points from this, and then win the game, right?
Exactly. So the only way it can be like sort of disputed is, can Seward kill this vampire? But all the vampire has to do is play. Well, that makes it even better for him because Seward's even closer to dying. All he has to do is kill Seward or escape with the vampire. Yeah, this is.
I mean, it's definitely possible. I didn't realize he had a second weapon. The second weapon makes it much more possible than it was before. Especially, and I thought it was a night fight, but it is a day fight, not a night fight. So also makes it better for him. But even so, I don't know about this one. This is rough. I mean, it could definitely happen. Like I've been killed from by, I've been at like 9 HP and been killed by Mina by herself because she had double knife. I don't remember who it was by, but I know it happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was on like 9, and then I soloed Mina, and she killed me in one combat.
Okay, mesmerize makes sense. Okay, that makes it
Garlic,
harder
okay.
now because if it's a weapon, then it's just going to do even less damage.
Yeah, and now if the vampire has the strength, I think you play it now when you know it won't run into a garlic.
Yeah, and then just play Escape as Mist or something. Just play it completely safe.
Another thing about these vampires, right, is like a lot of the time they're aggressive because they know the hunter has stake. When the hunters don't have stakes, they can just be like super elusive and just like mesmerize, strength, escape its mist, and then what are the hunters going to do about it, right? I mean,
you have to search again.
Yeah, I mean they're going to have to spend more time on it, right? And they can really people hold on to stakes for a reason. It's not just because they look nice on the wall. Okay.
So that's just the same. It takes him down to. He's just done 2 damage to Seward, and then it's 1 damage.
Oh yeah, because he's mesmerized. Oh yeah, this is done, right?
Yeah, because we know that great strength has been used too. You can't save Seward from this.
It's almost like I don't know. I don't know what to say. I think this is I don't know if there's much to comment on right now. I feel like this game is speaks for itself. Is what's about to happen.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's a bit unfortunate for people watching, but it's one of those games where the writing was on the wall a little bit for a bit of it. But okay, nice punch. Stays alive because of that. The writing was on the wall a little bit, but it's just because you have to play it out to its full, and we didn't know quite how it was going to end. Was Dracula going to wolf form and then do stuff, or was he going to just keep going by sea and then do something else? But yeah, once
I think yeah. Sorry, once the whole.
Yeah, because probably the last week or so, just because of the certain moves that Huns were making by sea, and that it was just kind of like, well, especially since the second renewed vigor's been played, that's kind of been. I hate to say it, it's kind of GG, but you have to play it out.
I mean, the consecrated ground still had potentials, depending on if you tried to land from Mediterranean. There was still a shot there, I think, but then once the CG came down, I think that was probably the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and I think it's very interesting as well because the Fangs has demonstrated something very interesting where it discarded 3 Heavenly Hosts at the beginning of the game and then got them all back again. So it's something where you don't have to constantly play in mind, unless you get CG really early, obviously. You could go, I don't have to hold on to these Heavenly Hosts. I can, Jaka got 3 health from it, but in the end it didn't matter because he didn't get into combat with him, so, even if Jaka was 3
I think I think he's quite onto something there, really. I think people are supplying enough that I think it is quite likely to get through the whole deck. And if you're not going to be using those Heavenly Hosts because you want to save them for CG anyway, and they're just a dead card in your hand that you're probably not using to deal with stuff, maybe you just take a weapon early, and then when you shuffle through the whole deck, you go back and get the Heavenly Host. I mean, obviously, sometimes Heavenly Host is good. You get rid of a Reckless with it, but I think that's not the norm, right? That's the outlier.
Absolutely. And I know this game is a little bit unusual as well because newspaper didn't reveal, so maybe the Hunters had a few more supplies at the beginning of the game than they would have normally done.
That's true.
And also we had Mystic Research, so that was more supplies as well. But still, maybe it's a bit extreme with 3 Heavenly Hosts in the discard pile, but I think discarding 1 is not
1 or 2.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world.
I mean, he's had a few extra supplies, yes, but if you look, he's gone through the whole item deck again, right? This is the second time it's been reshuffled. Even if he has a few less supplies, he only gets maybe half through the second deck. and he's discarded like you said, one Heavenly Host, I think that's quite reasonable. I think I need to hold on to Heavenly Hosts like they are like pots of gold, as you were saying at the beginning of the match today. I don't think that's necessarily needs to be the case, right? If you're not going to use it for anything, take a weapon instead. Maybe Desecrated Soil is a good point, right? You use it to stop Desecrated Soils. And you have it like, because you don't really know exactly when you're going to jump on Dracula. It's all going to be situational. So
Sure.
holding it so that when you jump onto him, you can use them. These are valid reasons. But if you you have two of them, probably don't need two of them in your hand, right? I think
Yeah.
you just discard one at that point.
Yeah, maybe the supplies were just awkward. Like we said, maybe there was a double horse, or already had a heavenly host, and then he drew two more. It's like, oh, well, I'm not getting rid of my horses, so let's just ditch two heavenly host. That's understandable. I'm not, I'm not complaining about that. I think it's perfectly
I think that
reasonable.
might have been what happened because both Mina and Godalming both have horses, right? So I think that maybe we're closer than we might think.
Mina doesn't have horses.
Oh, Mina doesn't have. Oh, she's the one without. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Then yeah, I don't know what I'm saying.
but that,
Then
but
whatever.
that's the issue. The other issue with this, the fact that the one with the horse had to deal with Italy, so that's one horse fewer for the east, and then the one Van Helsing's been in Athens, and he's the one with horses, and you needed the horses around here, so then you can do more risky plays with, cause more issues with Dracula with a renewed vigor play with horses, and then you CG on top of that. So it's just a little bit of item mismanagement as well. But as we were saying in the previous game we were watching as well, like hunters are just very hard to. There's so many things. And on another day, Dracula, hunters might have been able to catch Dracula with that first renewed vigor speedy telegraph play, and then
why is he?
I guess just try it. I guess, but yeah, it's just.
I guess it's theoretically possible. He draws mesmerize, plotting, or even like just plotting, all three escapes.
Yeah.
Theoretically possible, but
has to try it. It's worth a go, but Dracula can.
I suppose that's true. If he kills it, then Dracula might lose one more HP because he either wolf forms or goes to see an extra turn. So, for the IDS, I suppose you gotta give it the old try.
Yeah.
Yeah, because he's saying here goes nothing, right? There is nothing to lose by doing this, and potentially like one IDS to gain.
Obviously, using the heavily host on the new vampire was a perfectly valid tactic. I think you need to do it when the vampire gets down to 4 health, so then it'll just kill. And if you get it wrong and he fanged you, then there's nothing you can really do about that.
Well, I think if you also he wants to save his fangs until he's injured theoretically, right? So if you play the
that's a good point.
The heavenly host earlier, he's maybe less likely to use them early unless he thinks you have the heavenly host because you've just revealed it because it becomes free ground. But
yeah, and then just imagine you take 4 damage off the new vampire, and then new vampire. Oh, he had garlic, so you could have countered the fangs then if you tried to heal up with the garlic.
That's true. If you hold on to the heavenly host longer, then you kind of still have it whenever. So he might be throwing out fangs to try to get it, and you can then get him with garlic. Oh, he doesn't have garlic anymore. Oh no, he still has garlic. He just hasn't been playing it because he wants to kill the vampire. Pistol? Oh, sad.
Yeah, that's. We can play garlic one turn, but then you'll just play something aggressive the next turn. Then yeah, Seward's dying round 3 at the latest here.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that, right? The plotting kind of smacks of a bad combat hand to me because I feel like if he had a claws or I guess maybe he doesn't play claws because he knows he has pistol, but I feel like if he had like a strength / mesmerize to play, he would have done it.
Unless he just felt to say that Seward hasn't got holy bullets, so he can't kill the vampire. So just plot anyway to guarantee Seward dies.
But plotting against like both pistol and punch, right? It's kind of a.
Well, that's true. We were talking about the whole pistol thing, weren't we? About how. Mm-hmm. So yeah, maybe. Yeah, I agree. Or maybe just to play garlic to play defensive. Yeah.
That's true. You play plotting thing. You might play garlic round 1. That's fair. There's a lot. I mean, we're dissecting this thing to the bare bones, but I mean, it's not the most relevant. There's a chance he kills it here, but that chance is based on like I think now that plotting has gone off, I don't think it's happening. Now that he has the chance to get a good card in his hand. Right, like he can literally just play a strength / mesmerize here. Probably strength because strength also counters punch, and then he can play either of them again next turn, and then he can escape in whichever way he likes.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think with this, like, Dracula doesn't need this vampire to win. there's so many ways that Dracula can win off this. He can mature the vampire. He can kill Seward. Oh, okay, fair enough. Nice cancel. I think he's got 2 claws, and he's going to then claw now. That'd be my guess of what's going to happen here. But then,
That's true, because garlic happens second, so it wouldn't matter if he's dead.
I suppose
the damage from it.
If Seward dies, the vampire's going to mature anyway. But you know what I mean? He can do it. He can play defensive with the vampire to keep it alive so it matures, or he can go aggressively to kill Seward with it. And even if the vampire dies, well, he only has to move 3 times to win. If he does it in such a way, he might be able to fall Godalming, take advantage of his lack of movement, you know, and it'll be fine. There's no CG to worry about anymore. So there's
right. This is small potatoes. This is like we're fighting over 1 to 2 IDS right now. This is neither of them. The game has been decided, and you were correct about having double claws. But I believe he doesn't take damage from garlic, right? Because
nope, he doesn't.
John Seward dies.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't even matter anyway, because even if the vampire did die, that's not how the mechanics work. But if the vampire did die, well, he's just going to land to win anyway, because he needs 2 IDS to win.
No. Fighting spirit there.
No, I agree, and I think you just have to try it. There's no harm in it. So yeah, an all round, you know, interesting game. Really good to see, you know, Edward Scissorhands play, you know, a long game, and to see him in action, because obviously the other game was very short just because of the whole unfortunate wolf form plus hide. So to see Edward play a long game, to see what he's capable of.
Yeah, I think Dark Horse. When you said that, it resonated. I think that's a good term. I think he's got a really good chance of going very far. I'm certainly glad he's not in my group, but you know, here we are. So it's 9 Dracula health. We did make it to the 4th week.
Yeah, but he won anyway, so the modifier still applied.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, so you know, good effort by both. Another Dracula victory. I don't know what the statistics are. I haven't been compiling them. I think it's been pretty even so far. So yeah, but for us, we've seen 2 Dracula wins today. Very interesting.
Well, I had a great time. So thanks for having me on.
Oh, I did too. Yeah, thank you for joining. You're always welcome. And obviously, when you're not playing your own games, you're more than welcome to commentate as often as you like.
Okay. I'll keep it in mind.
So I'm gonna. It's quite a long video, and I'm gonna have to run away for dinner, I'm afraid. But really good talking to you.
Yeah, go.
Thank you for commentating, and good luck for your other games. And
thank you.
And thank you for watching, everybody. And I shall see you in the next episode very soon. Take care.